Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the event today. We're going to be talking about the dairy industry. My name is Brian. I'm a vegan animal activist, and today we're going to start off by talking about the topic of this event, which is the dairy industry actually cares for their animals, or do they? So a little bit about me. I went to agricultural school and I actually worked on a dairy farm for around 2 years, a long time ago in England. So I do have some understanding of what goes on the dairy farms. And we're going to be playing a video from a dairy farmer today that talks about how he cares for his animals, which he probably does to care for an animal because he has an investment in them. So he may feed them, give them antibiotics so they don't get sick because he doesn't want to lose his investment. He might even give them numbers or names. But I mean, when does that care stop? Does it stop? I call it fake care. When does the fake care stop? Is it when he starts to forcibly impregnate them? Is it when he takes the babies away from mother, separates them, and sends them off to the slaughterhouse? Or is it never genuine care at all? So I actually have a guest on here today. Her name is Entice. Entice has been a vegan now for, let me check here, 5 years, and she's an animal activist. I know she does some work with Anonymous for the Voiceless, some social media activism, and then also she's a rapper as well. So I'm going to bring Entice on right now. Hey, Entice.
Hello, Brian. How are you doing today?
Doing great. So thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate you taking the time out to go over a video that was recently posted from this dairy farmer. So,
Yeah.
So I mentioned the word that you was a rapper at one time. So I kind of got a little gift for you. Is it okay that I've got a little song of yours that I found?
Yeah.
I want to just go ahead and throw that in so people can get to see the real you. Okay. It's only like a minute too long.
Okay.
Thank you.
With truth. Come grab some knowledge, join that circle like a hula hoop. Stop making excuses for that torture that you're calling food. That animal abuse category is what you fall into. Yeah, you hate when I say it, but what the animals are going through means more to me than your feelings. Don't be mad because I show the truth. You running so fast from it, I call you Usain Bolt. It only makes me scream louder when you say don't. Man, that mirror is deadly, but it ain't my fault. You can't face your reality, and it ain't this song. It ain't me, and it ain't my team. Time to do some soul searching when you get that mean. Getting called out on your cruelty, it makes it seem you would rather choose violence than to break that gene. You ever heard a mother make that scream when her babies are stolen from her to make that cream? That's exactly what you're paying for to make that cheese, and somehow you're mad at me when I paint that scene. So stop being a producer, the director, cast member. At that slaughterhouse, you are a staff member. You can try to block yourself, but your credit and cash tender shows your cruelty you would rather see in an exact measure. Someone dear to me said in one of their outreach that every dollar you spend is a vote for what you believe in. What you believe in these days. Cruelty, violence, oppression. Stop being the reason why someone else is suffering. Stop being the reason why someone else can't have their mother. Stop being the reason why someone else can't have their child. Stop being the reason why someone else can't have their freedom. Stop being the reason why someone else is hung upside down with a knife across their throat, dying violently, viciously, unnecessarily, unjustifiably, because you think they're supposed to. Stop your laziness. Stop your selfishness. Stop being a human supremacist. Time to get that blood off your hands, man. They're not here for you. See you in 2022. And we out.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
Doing it all over again.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what I liked about that most was I could really feel the compassion in you as you're speaking through that. And I'm hoping the people watching could see that too. So that, that was awesome.
And what's crazy is that I made that up that morning, which is hence the stumbling, hence saying some words wrong, because usually when I write and the way that I rap, it takes a lot. Well, not takes a lot, but you have to like kind of recite it over.
Mm-hmm.
And that morning is when I wrote all of that. So I tried to get it all together as best as I could. So, but yeah, a lot of passion behind that. Everything.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. So what was I going to say then? So yeah, that just kind of reminds me how you made some mistakes there. I remember, I get scared actually, and I get nervous, anxiety and stuff when I'm doing outreach on the streets. And even on here right now, the butterflies, and I get nervous in case I make mistakes. But there was an activist once said online, her name was Julia Novak, and she said, what was it? If you're scared and you're afraid, doesn't matter. Get out there, do your activism while you're scared and afraid. So, I take that to heart. So that gives me a lot of encouragement to get out there.
Yeah, so, I definitely was there too. My activism started a lot online, doing just like comments and Facebook posts and YouTube comments and things like that. And when I started posting my own things, the first thing I would think about would be, how is someone going to take this, especially my family and friends? And I was always nervous to say certain things, say certain words. And then it wasn't until discovering Anonymous for the Voiceless and my mentor, Paul Bashir, he's my heart and soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything changed. Everything changed. So, it's not about being aggressive. A lot of people, they like to label us as militant and aggressive. It has nothing to do with that. It is just in your face truth, and the truth hurts. That is not our fault. It's not our fault.
Right. Yeah, I totally hear you. Paul Bashir was, I learned how to hold people accountable pretty much by, one of the hardest things to do that I learned was, I remember the first time I called someone in the street a hypocrite. And I thought, oh my gosh, what kind of response? What are they going to say or do? And they actually said, oh my gosh, I never thought of it like that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I knew I got to them. So, and that was, it didn't matter after that whether they said I'm going to go vegan or not. I knew I planted the seed.
Exactly.
I turned that mirror, shined it on themselves so they could see what they're doing, and hopefully they wake up. So,
yeah, definitely. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah. So. We got a few people watching. I just want to shout out to people watching. If you're an animal activist, and you want to come on this live event, send me a private message or entice us a private message, and I'll let you come on for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute or two. And I want to know why you stopped consuming dairy. So let's go to. I've got a few videos that I want to play for everybody, and I'm going to play like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little videos, and then we're going to stop and we'll play the video from the dairy farmer. So here we go. So if anyone has any comments or questions, I see a whole bunch in there. I'll go ahead and read through them. Let's just highlight a few of the good ones right now.
Nice.
There's Tofu Matt. He says, hi out there. Is everyone getting excited for this great discussion? If anyone doesn't know, Tofu Matt, he's an awesome animal activist and always willing to help other activists too. See, if you don't authenticate when you're coming to the StreamYard, it's not going to show your name. So it'll just say something like Facebook user here.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate that person sending love. We have a grumpy vegan granddad on there. Hey there, nice to see you.
It's my homie.
And he's saying nice to entice is great too.
So are you.
And Tofu Matt had another one for you there too.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how, I'm great here and I'm just this evil person other places. Pretty unfortunate that I'm the evil.
Yeah, when I'm outreaching, I outreach. It's actually become my life now, and I outreach from even at work to my friend. I've got to be careful at work so I don't get fired. There's a line I can't cross when I'm outreaching at work. but it's like 24/7 for me now. Yes, grumpy vegan. I am originally from England. I went to college in England. That's where I went to agricultural college, and worked on a dairy farm for 2 years there. I came over here about 18 years ago. Whoever that is, thank you. Appreciate your comment there. Not everyone needs to hear the rap called "Thanks Killing." Yes, I've heard that one. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna play I'll actually drop a link for Entice's YouTube page there a little later. So if anyone wants to go there, go ahead and subscribe. Check out her songs. She's got some awesome songs on there, and they really have meaning to them. And while you're actually there, you can subscribe to this channel too.
Yes, definitely do that.
All right, it's always right to speak up. All right, we have no injustice lasts forever. That's true. It's always the right time to speak up against injustice. That's right. 24/7. I knew I shouldn't put my camera here. Okay, and as the comments come in there, I'll try and read them as as we're going through. So let me go ahead and start these little videos here. Okay.
The dairy industry is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year worldwide monopoly. They invest millions on clever marketing, deploying slogans like "Happy cows, happy milk," and "Milk does a body good."
Great milk comes from happy cows. Happy cows come from California.
We give our cows more time outside because happy, healthy cows make better milk.
I know I should drink milk because it'll help me grow up big and strong.
It's working! Keep drinking!
They perpetuate consistent propaganda campaigns to humane wash and greenwash the industry to keep the average consumer under the spell. But is the actual reality of dairy consistent with what the industry tries to convey? When we think of UK dairy farming, it conjures up images of happy cows grazing on lush, green pastures, being lovingly milked by a local farmer. I'm Joey Carbstrong. I decided to visit a few local dairy operations to see if that image of dairy farming matches reality.
That's terrible. It was quite horrible to hold this in my hands. These are all the female calves. Having the life sucked out of her slowly. It's eye-opening. This is just mass exploitation here. We might have to make a quick getaway.
So that was pretty hard to watch. You know, as an animal activist, I have to watch that stuff all the time because I share it a lot. And I usually wait for people's responses so I can outreach to them as an activist. So anyone watching right now that's a vegetarian or even a meat eater that still hasn't took that step to go vegan, because as you just saw, the dairy industry is wrong. It's corrupt. And that kind of abuse that you just saw there needs to be stopped. So think about it. All right, and Thais, how was that for you, watching that again?
I feel so every single animal industry, how they're exploited pains me, but there's something about the cow breast milk industry that it deep roots disgusts me. And it's the prolonged torture, the prolonged abuse, and then just right to the slaughterhouse when she can't give anymore. And I know all the animals, they suffer immensely in all the industries. I'm not saying that like cow suffering is any worse than the other, but it's just terrible. It's terrible to see. And it pains me.
And this is actually standard practice, you know,
Yeah.
all throughout the world, even on the organic farms, grass-fed, pasture-raised. These are just words to make you feel good when you're making your purchase choices. For example, when I used to eat eggs, I would pay the extra few pence to buy cage-free, and then leave the store thinking, "Look at me, aren't I good? I'm a good person."
Yeah.
So, you know,
when I was consuming animal flesh and their secretions, I never looked into or cared about those labels, or I don't know. It was too expensive for me. I was like, I didn't really, I don't know. Brainwashing, program thinking. I don't know. Right. It's just none of that stuff matters.
Some milk, actually. Well, yeah. I'm talking. I'm listening to you.
And then the local, and then like you said, the organic, none of that stuff matters. And I want to say that a lot of oppressors, I don't call them farmers, because if you're using someone and making profit off of someone, you're not a farmer. So a lot of oppressors will watch this and get angry because they don't treat their animals like that. They probably don't punch them, don't kick them,
right.
Which I believe. And even the Iowa oppressor, I have no doubt that he's not doing that. However, you are still looking at someone as a price tag. You are still looking at someone as a commodity. So it doesn't matter how well you treat them. And just anybody in your life, like, or yourself, if you had a set of people around you and the only reason why they kept you around was because what you can do for them, they treated you well. They, treated you to dinner sometimes. They like I said, they were your friends, but the only reason why you were there was for what you could provide. Doesn't matter how well you're treated. You're still a price tag. You're still a commodity at the end of the day, and you're still going to die. So who cares about local and organic and all those fantasy labels?
Right. So, people talk about conditioning people, and those words are exactly what conditions people to behave like that. A little selfishness as well, I would say.
Yeah.
But absolutely right. Hey, so let's go ahead and play the video from the dairy farmer. And when I worked on a dairy farm, the family there were really loving and nice. It was a dairy farm, and they would let me come in and make my dinner for me. So they were really nice people. And they never actually did any slaughtering on the farm. There was no killing on the farm. I actually never saw any kind of abuse whatsoever on the farm. However, we know about the artificial insemination, the child taking children away, slaughterhouse. So let's go ahead and play the video. This is the Iowa farmer. Oh, I find it right here. Okay. Is it about 2 or 3 minutes wrong?
You have got to stop what you're doing and watch this entire video and pray that those who speak against you are as misinformed as this individual.
People in this world that I hate, well, most of humanity I hate, but specifically 2 people. My mother's husband and my ex-boss in my previous job. But we're going to have to up that list to 3 and add the Iowa dairy farmer. The pure anger and rage that I feel when I hear his voice and I see his videos. And he speaks very calmly. You can say with a lot of confidence, actually, but I can sense the darkness and the evilness every word that he utters, and it makes me cringe. He makes these videos brainwashing people. In today's day and age, that's easy to do. Showing the cows he oppresses, eating cud and enjoying life. Skips over him raping, skips over taking their babies away from them. Definitely skips over the slaughterhouse part. Never shows that. He is the most disgusting, abhorrent, and atrocious person I've ever seen.
When I saw this video, I got excited in my chest. I don't know if this was supposed to like scare me into like never making another video again, or what exactly her intent was. But I tell you, when I saw that video, all I could see was a gold mine of opportunities to continue to educate, or I guess she calls it brainwash. And also, I've never been more honored to be on a here's all the people I hate list, especially when it's someone like this. Now, there's going to be some education towards the latter part of this video. I'm going to refer to something called the Glass Walls Project. But before we get to that point, the biggest thing in her video that drives me nuts is her use of the R word. And I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to get this video taken off Facebook. This absolutely floors me that somebody could see artificial insemination and compare it to that word. Shame on you. I've talked about this before. But artificial insemination, the act of getting a cow pregnant when they want to be pregnant, when they are in estrus, telling us that their body is biologically ready and willing and wanting to get pregnant, they compare AI to that word. And I've talked about that before, how disgusting and just absolutely apprehensible making that analogy is. It just says a lot about the kind of individual who would make that comparison, right? They see everything through a perverted lens. We didn't make this a perverted act. You did. We do it because it's what's best for the cow. She has a twisted worldview and sees it for something that it's not. Artificial insemination is a good animal husbandry practice. It's a good steward. It's a good way to be a steward of these animals because we know that Holstein bulls are dangerous to cows, dangerous to farmers, dangerous to their surroundings around them. Artificial insemination is safer for the farmer, more importantly, safer for the cow, and it allows us to control the genetic input of the herd. We only breed the best to the best, making more efficient utilization of our resources, our land, our water, and the space around us. What this person has to ask themselves is if they're upset with me doing artificial insemination, if I just dropped a bull in this pen, one male, a bull is a male, for those of you who don't know, one male in this pen, and when Ruby here were to come into heat, meaning she's fertile and she wants to be pregnant, if that bull got Ruby pregnant, would you still be upset? Because all artificial insemination does is remove the bull, and instead, we do it. Ruby decided to lay back down. That's how comfortable our stalls are. Needed to readjust yourself a little bit there. You can just see the pure terror in her eyes. It's crazy. She also claims I've never shown the artificial insemination process. I've shown the whole thing. Feel free to go look through my videos. She also claims I've never shown calves being carried out of the calf barn. Shown the whole thing. Feel free to go look through my videos. But there is one thing she's right that I have never ever shown, and that is the slaughter of an animal. You know why I've never shown that? Because it never happens here. Slaughter does not happen on this farm. Also, Katie is doing her little moo whispers right now. Check this out. So Katie's waiting in line for this robot, and when she gets impatient, do you hear that? When she gets impatient, she does those little soft moo whispers. It's really funny. So, why have I never shown slaughter? Because Facebook would take it down. It's the same reason you can't just go find a video of an open heart surgery here on Facebook. I mean, some of that content is a little uneasy for other people. Does that make it wrong? No. I'm going to put a link in the caption. It's referring to the Glass Walls Project by Temple Grandin. Have you ever heard the phrase, if only slaughterhouses had glass walls? That's what Temple Grandin tried to basically do. Obviously, in the physical realm, you're not going to go put a glass wall in a slaughterhouse. But what if you could be so transparent about the entire process that you basically did have glass walls? That's what Temple tried to do. That's what's going to be in the link in the caption. That's what all of you need to go watch, because I'm not going to show that on my farm because it doesn't happen here. But the place that Temple shows is the exact same place. That's not the exact same place, but the place my cows go is identical to that place. I find it hilarious that this person says they can see the darkness in me. She probably says that about a lot of farmers. And what's great about what Temple Grandin did and what I'm trying to do is we're trying to bring the lies that these type of people tell about us out of the darkness into the light. And when we can put their lies in the light, truth will have its day. And the truth is, these animals produce food. 1 in milk, 2 in meat. I've been fully transparent about that. The truth is, these cows live a great life. The truth is, thanks to people like Temple Grandin, they also have a more humane death. That sounds callous, but animals are a resource, and we treat them with respect and dignity while they're here, and we treat them with respect and dignity when they're not. Oh man, Katie is gonna be ticked. That cow just cut in line. My final thought, honestly, if this person really wants to advance the cause of veganism, the best thing they could do would be to stop making videos, because when they make videos like this, like I said earlier, I get excited in my chest and it makes me want to go make more videos and show more truth and talk and educate more about what we do and why we do it and how great of an industry the dairy industry really is. So please keep making videos. So hopefully you all learned something. Thanks for being here.
Wow. All right. So Entice, yeah, I know you was in that little video he made just there. So what are your thoughts here?
Where do we begin? So first of all, I want to say that let's start with the term rape, okay? If you were to go to look up that definition, you can look digitally, on paper, in any language. That word is not exclusive to human women. And the people that get offended and upset by that word, they have a human supremacist mind frame. They think that humans are the only ones that could be subjected to any type of injustice. They are the only ones that can be subjected to pain, cruelty, suffering. And they have humans on this pedestal that they are the only ones that can go through those things. Non-human animals are not seen by humans as individuals. She's just a cow. They're just a pig. They don't see her as a female. They don't see her as a mother. They don't see bulls as males. They don't see bulls as fathers. That is not the non-human animal's fault. That is not my fault. Animals have been trivialized to such a lowering standard and lowering degree that when people say these words about them, some people think it's funny. Some people get offended. Some people get angry because animals are so low. They're so low on any type of totem pole, and that is not their fault, okay? The word rape stems around not being able to consent to sexual acts. She still has a reproductive system. She still has a vagina. She still has an anus. Males still have a penis. They still have a vagina. They still have that anatomy. And no one should be anywhere in their vicinity, especially human beings. They cannot give consent to you. They cannot give consent to you. And people, if I would say being offended by that word, like, let's just say I flipped this chair over and I started humping the chair and I made a video that said, oh, I'm raping this chair. First of all, if I ever saw anyone do that, I would be all in your comments because I would be very offended and I would be very, very angry. You cannot rape objects. You can't rape a chair. You can't rape your phone. You can't rape your couch. You can 100% rape non-human animals. Cruel acts do not change when the victim changes. It's either rape or it's not. It's either slavery or it's not. It's either abuse or it's not. There's no gray. There's no gray area. There's no gray area there. And I always tell people, remove the cow and then replace you. If it's your anus being penetrated against your will, it's rape then. But because she's a cow, it's no longer rape. And if we remove the cow, Brian, and replace you, a male, is it rape then? Like, are people going to be offended if a male says that? People need to stop riding the surface of these words. Stop looking at the surface and look at the act. Violating someone in a sexual manner to their sexual organs and their sexual body parts without their consent is rape. And it doesn't change when the victim changes, period. Can't hear you, Brian.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so in the dairy industry, they actually changed the words because obviously they're not going to use that word, so that they use words like artificial, insemination,
correct,
which still has to be forcibly done, and
that term is used for consenting people, consenting individuals.
Right.
Artificial insemination, that's used for consenting individuals. You
Sure.
don't use it for someone that's being forcibly done to. You don't.
No, so I mean, if there was a woman and I forcibly impregnated her, what have I just done? Going back to the dairy farmer's little video there, I just wanted to point out to people watching that when he mentioned Katie and she was mourning to get in line, that's not actually what I saw there. What I saw was a cow that's enslaved. She's so distressed. Maybe she has mental problems now because of the enslavement and the constant milking. I don't know how many cycles she's gone through and had, children taken away for her. So that's what I saw in that. I don't know how the farmer saw. Oh, isn't that funny? Look, she lost a place in the line.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his videos, but mostly what I've seen, they're numbers, they're not names. So it's funny now everyone has a name. Oh, and yeah, and I have a lot of cow friends, and they don't sound like that.
Right.
They don't. So, and I want to also touch on the perverse mind that I have. Okay, if anyone were to walk out their door right now, and you were to see your neighbor fisting a dog, you would be disgusted, and you would think that they are perverted. It wouldn't be you; it would be them. If, let's say you were, I don't know how this would happen, but if you were to witness someone fisting an elephant, fisting a rhino, fisting a whale, or anyone, you would feel that that person is perverse and disgusted. And we can even bring it on home. For our society, our human society, fisting. Now, I'm not gonna say any names, but I know some people that's into that. Most of us are not into that. Like let's just say you were on like a date or something, you had a couple of dates and you got to bring it on home. Try to bring up fisting in the bedroom. See where you get. I promise you your next date will be alone. Okay. That whole thing, people are disgusted by that. So it's not me. Society has programmed us and indoctrinated us to think that doing that to cows is normal. But if you were to do that to anyone else, or not just cows, but they do that to other animals to impregnate them. But like, if you were to do that outside of the animal exploitative industries and you take that into our society, it is disgusting and perverted. So that has absolutely nothing to do with me. And to say that these cows want to be pregnant, they're ready to be pregnant. Let's use that in a different context. Let's just say as women, let's just say it was normal for our faces to turn purple when we're ovulating. And somebody walks into a room of 20 women and 5 of them have purple faces. Does that give you the right to go and try to impregnate them because they're ovulating? You don't have the right to be in her vicinity, in anywhere around her body. Her body is hers and should not be intervened by anyone, unless it's her cow boo that she's loving, and that's her boo, and they want to do it together. That's when that's cool. And no, if I see a bull in there with her and he's trying to impregnate her, no, I'm not going to get mad at that. I think that's another thing that he tried to say. If a bull was in there, would I be mad at that? No, that's normal. Your fist in her ass is not normal. Period.
So just real quick, for anyone watching that is not a vegan and is kind of wondering what we're talking about, the topic is the dairy industry actually cares for their animals, or do they? So I just want to explain what happens in the dairy industry real quickly. So the cows don't naturally give milk. They have to be forcibly impregnated, and every year, and to constantly give that milk. And every year the baby, if the baby is female, that female goes back into that cycle of enslavement. And if the baby unfortunately is male, is taken away and either reared up, fattened up a little bit, and sent to slaughter, or at a younger age, sometimes a day or two old, are put into a tiny 6-foot box so they can't move around because they want the meat tender, and that's called veal. So that kind of animal cruelty is actually what goes on when you go in the store and purchase your dairy products. So by switching to like plant-based products, you're no longer supporting that kind of cruelty. So let me go back here. So Entice, did you have any more that you want to say about that video there?
Talk about the darkness part, because I don't think maybe I wasn't clear with that. So I feel that most oppressors in all other parts of their lives, they're probably good people. And he's probably a decent person outside of that oppressive plot he has. He has a family, he has a son. I know someone personally that I work with. He is probably the kindest guy one of the kindest people I've ever met, until I see him with his camo clothes and talking about hunting. So most of these people are decent people, okay? So when I said the darkness part, there was a video that he has of him or a vet dehorning a cow. And when they showed the babies, I guess they were all in line to have their horns burned off, because they said it's for the protection of the oppressor, or the protection of the animal. No, it has nothing to do with that. When you're enslaved and you're treated like a machine and you're held against your will, that can make you go a little crazy. So yeah, they probably would hurt someone. So, but anyway, so they take the horns off to protect everyone. So when he was showing everyone who was next in line, the babies were looking at him with the fear of God in them. And I felt that. I felt it strongly. And the Iowa oppressor had his dad in there, and the dad was trying to grab one of the babies, I guess, to put them hold them in the whatever contraption they had to burn the horns off. He was trying to grab one of the cows, and the cow ran from the dad. And as the Iowa oppressors were filming that, it was at least maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8 babies. They were locked on him, and I felt their fear, and that's where the darkness comes from. Their eyes, not mine. So I just wanted to make that clear, because people were saying how, he's this great guy and he's not evil, and he probably isn't. But I look at it from the victim's eyes, which is what a lot of you non-vegans need to start doing. You need to stop looking at it from yours. You need to stop looking at me, okay, and what I'm saying and how I'm dressing and my hats. You need to stop looking at me and look at it from the eyes of the victim. And it's a whole new lens once you start doing that, a whole new lens. And he was saying something, I think he was like saying that he shows videos of them taking the babies out of the calf barn. I refuse to look through his videos. I tried to find these, but I can't. I want to see the cows giving birth and him taking the babies from the womb. I don't want to see camera cuts and edits and you're just taking the baby out of the barn, and you could have switched the cow and that's not even the baby's mother in there, and she's just standing there not caring, as what he so-called he always says the cows don't care, they don't care about their baby, kill them. Show me where the cow is giving birth and you're taking the baby right from the womb. I want to see that. Somebody please put that in the chat, please.
I got one thing I want to mention. That I know the farmer, the guy, he mentioned the animals are killed humanely. So do you really think there's a humane way to kill someone that doesn't want to die?
No, it's an oxymoron. You cannot put the word humane and the word slaughter together. That's like putting the word humane and child molestation together, or humane rape. Those two things do not go together. When someone does not want to die, you cannot humanely kill them. And I always tell people, if you think it's so humane, would you put yourself in there? Because humane is a good word, compassion, benevolence, care. Would you put yourself in there? Would you put your kids in there? If it's so humane, would you put yourself in there?
Mm-hmm.
Always different. Like I said, when you're looking at it from a different lens, you can't humanely kill someone. You can't.
Right. Yeah.
It's callous.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I'm saying he was saying that this may sound callous because it is.
You know what hurts me the most in the dairy industry. So when the female cow has the baby, and it's a very crucial and special moment for the bonding of the mother and the child there. And you can look this up online. I'll show the group, a web page in a little while. It kind of reminds me, and I'm sure there's people watching out there that have children, and you think back and you remember when you was in the hospital and you just had your baby and everyone stood around and everyone's crying with joy because it was such a moment that you probably never ever forget. So and that kind of bonding is crucial for a mother and a child, just the same as it is for a cow and a calf. And so taking that child away from the mother in the dairy industry is like it's the worst kind of suffering I can even imagine. So well, if you put yourself in that position, can you imagine having your child taken away from you, or vice versa? But you are the child and your mother's been taken away from you, on that first time. So that's one of the reasons, why I'm vegan.
Yeah, and I feel, and one of my fellow activists, Kate, she's in here. She mentions, and I've thought about this before, but I really honed into it when she mentions it. I will never understand. First of all, I don't understand anyone paying for that cruelty. But when it comes to mothers, non-vegan mothers, how could you pay for that? Because when women, I don't have children, but I have a mother, and I have a mother who cared for me. And I know many people who have children, and I see how they care for their babies. Women, when you learn that you're pregnant, right when you learn and you go get to that ultrasound, like you get that sonogram and you see them forming inside you, they print you that paper, you go home and you look at that paper, you cherish that bond is formed as soon as you know that you are you're eventually going to give birth. I don't understand how non-vegan mothers pay for that desecration of that bond. I don't understand. And cows are very maternal. And people need to stop believing this Iowa oppressor when they say cows don't care for their babies, they'll kill them. That is just absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
If I was to ask you, for people that are watching, let's say that maybe we've got some meat eaters watching, or even dairy farmers, vegetarians, or maybe anyone, is there a documentary that you would recommend someone to watch about the hidden truths in the dairy industry?
Yeah, so the main one that we all reference is Dominion or Earthling, those two. And then you have to, and what's crazy is that, like, I never watched any of those documentaries. I seen the footages from when I do cubes, but I have never watched any of those documentaries. And from what I'm told, that will really wake you up to what's happening. And then going on YouTube and watching Dairy, which is what my shirt says. And Joe Armstrong, he made a milk documentary last year. Is Milk Make Up Your Own Mind? So, and that will paint a whole picture for you about this industry. So yeah, that's what I go that route.
I put an address on there if anyone wants to watch it. It's free to watch.
Yeah.
I think one of the producers was Walking Phoenix, and this is actually when I went vegetarian, there was something on my mind about, am I okay still eating eggs? But I watched this, and then I went very quickly. It's actually just in one day from vegetarian to vegan, pretty much immediately. Yeah. But you can check that; it's free to watch. So.
One other thing I want to say, because he talks about being transparent in his videos, and he says slaughtered. He doesn't show that because it doesn't happen on his oppressive plot. Like, we all know that doesn't happen there. They have to go to a facility to be murdered. But you can still strap up a camera, put yourself on that transport truck, show the transport. And that's another thing. That's a whole nother terrible, terrible process, is animals in transport. Some of them are on those trucks for weeks, months. Some of them are transported overseas. So what happens to those animals on transport? No water, no food, no care. Strap a camera and put yourself in that transport truck. That's not graphic. You can put yourself in a transport truck, show yourself going to your murder house that you send all your victims to, show them going down the kill line. Once again, that's not graphic. And you can make videos where you can edit things out. And he put some watered down, a 2-year-old could watch that link. He was talking about the Glass Walls Project or whatever he's talking about. that is not how slaughterhouses go. That's not how it goes. So you can, if he really wanted to make that video, he could make that video, and I want to see it. I want to see that video. If you're so transparent, make that video.
Okay, well, thank you for your feedback there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but I felt like I was animated the whole time, so sorry.
No, that was great. It was good to see the compassion come from you. I do have another little video here from a farm sanctuary, a local farm sanctuary where I live, called Shy 38, and this is where some of the activists actually take animals when they get rescued from before they end up in the slaughterhouse. So I'm going to play a short video here, and this is it starts off with a young dairy calf that was rescued from an Iowa slaughter truck. So I'll just play that now.
Probably his.
Oh, okay, so Julia, tell me the story of this little girl.
Well, all I know is that she came from Iowa yesterday. She was from a dairy farm. She's about, I was told, she's got to be like 3 weeks old. But apparently she was going to be used as a dairy cow, but she was too slow, whatever that means. I think she might have had, I don't know if she had a kind of birth where they, yank them out, and then she just really wasn't moving as quickly as the calves, so they got a call, and somebody went out yesterday and drove her home to live here. She doesn't have a name yet, but instead of living her life as a dairy cow who's going to be constantly pregnant and having her babies taken away, she's just going to live a beautiful life here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
With her friends keeping her warm. So we're glad you made it safe.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet she misses her mama though.
I know. Well, and I think also because Zippy is mostly blind, they were wanting to bring a calf in to kind of help be her seeing eye calf. Okay. And the 2 calves that we brought in a few weeks ago have already died. Just because, they didn't get a great start in life without their mamas. So hopefully she and Zippy will bond and she'll be able to help Zippy find her way. Look at that face. Hey, look at that face, baby girl. Oh, there's another good face.
You guys snuggling? Hey, baby. You're going to be safe now.
Yeah, you're safe. No more tags in the hole in that ear. It's just gonna be a beautiful life.
Oh, did they tag her as well when she was born?
Yeah, I think they tagged them pretty quick.
That's crazy. Well, it's nice to meet you. How you doing, sweet pea? Oh, it's good to see you. Look at you, beautiful horns coming through. These horns, they're about maybe an inch. You're going to be so awesomely powerful. Yes, you are, my baby. Oh, hey, sorry, did I wake you? Look at your beautiful smile. You going to come out?
I'm Chris, founder of Shy 38 Incorporated, a farm sanctuary in rural Lawrence, Kansas, and we are home to 180 rescued residents. Shy 38 was founded in 2015 when my family lived next door to a farmer's herd of cattle. It was a cow-calf operation, and there were about 25 cows, mostly female, and their babies. And we got to know them, watched them for 5 years, watched them come and go every spring and fall. Some returned, some didn't. Watched them get their babies taken away, watched them grieve, search for them, call out for them day and night. We realized that they had unique individual personalities, likes and dislikes. They had best friends. There was a herd leader, very socially complex, and I never knew that. So I started to think that if more people knew this about cows, and then maybe they wouldn't eat them anymore. So our sanctuary is home to 10 cows now, including Helen, which is often a favorite. She's very, very sweet, rescued dairy cow. And she helps people to see that cows are individuals with feelings. And we believe that they deserve respect, and to live their lives despite the uses we believe we're entitled of.
So I'm going to go straight into another short video, and this is kind of special to me. It's called Draw My Life, Olivia.
My name is Olivia, and this is my story. I was born 2 years ago in a dark pen. I remember a couple of men watching me as I was taking my first breaths. I don't really know my mother. All I remember of her were her beautiful eyes and the way they looked at me. She seemed sad. The men took me away from her after a couple of hours. I remember her crying out. I heard her cries as they were taking me away. The next thing I knew, they were cutting into my ear and attaching an annoying tag to it with a number on it. It hurt so bad. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't move. I live here now, in this stall. My hooves are constantly aching. They gave me a lot of hormone and vaccine injections. I guess cows get sick here a lot. Then one day, a man shoved his arm inside me. I didn't know what was happening or why. 9 months later, I had a baby boy. I named him Michael. He was so darling. He had beautiful almond eyes, and I don't know how to explain it, but I loved him so deeply. But after a couple of hours, they took him away. I screamed, I called out to him in desperation. I wanted him back so bad. He was my baby, but they took him. I heard that he was put in a small crate and was going to be slaughtered for veal. The next thing I knew, they attached an awful machine to my udder. It hurt. They pumped and pumped my milk out so quickly that it felt like I was losing over 30 gallons at once. My udder felt so tender. This went on repeatedly for months, every day. The men take the milk, and I guess humans drink it. This milk was supposed to be for my baby. I didn't think my life could get any more miserable until it happened again. Another man shoved his arm inside me. I gave birth to another beautiful baby, and she was stolen from me too. I don't understand why these humans keep taking my milk. My milk is for my calves. I'm so tired. I can't. I just can't go on. There's a truck pulling up. It's so loud. It's getting really close to me. Ow! Oh no! What's happening? Maybe they're taking me to a place where I can get better.
So if you're a vegan and you want to be an animal activist, that is something you can find there on Facebook or YouTube. It's called Draw My Life, Olivia, and that's something I would definitely recommend. It's safe to share to any age, and it shows the truth of what happens in the dairy industry. You know, it's plain on paper and pencil. So let me bring up Entice right here. So we actually had some awesome animal activists send me some clips in. 15 animal activists went ahead and sent me a little clip in, and I'm going to play them real shortly. And what did you think about the little drawing there?
I almost started tearing up. Like a lot of things just make me angry. A couple of things do make me cry, but I almost was tearing up and there was nothing graphic about that. Just words and the strings and every word I pictured every single moment. And the whole we care for our animals. Yeah, when you put them on the truck, is that how you show care for your loved ones? Your son, your daughter, your aunts and uncles, your brothers, your best friend on slaughter trucks that have their necks slashed open? That's not caring for them. That is not caring for them at all.
No, so before I went vegan, before I went vegetarian, there's something that happens. It's kind of, most people call it your awakening or something. But because all around me, I'm being conditioned, to do certain things, to buy this milk product, to buy this cheese because it tastes good. So just before I went vegan, I kind of put myself in the animal's position and thought, oh my gosh, would I want that done to me?
Exactly.
So I decided to maybe I don't know what the word I'm looking for there, maybe compassion. So that's why I went vegetarian. So I know if most people watch that, imagine that's them with their mother being separated. Then they'll quickly realize this only happens because people that are conditioning that don't look at this, they don't see the truth yet, go into the store and pay for this to happen. If people would go in and choose like plant-based products, plant-based milks, this wouldn't happen. So
yeah. And to be honest, like most oppressors, like I said earlier, they think that they're good people. And had it not for been Iowa oppressors in his videos trying to always battle with vegans, he always wants to, I guess, expose us. I probably wouldn't feel how I feel about him. But it's because people are paying for this. It's not even them. It's not even him. It's not even oppressors are like, it is it's all you out there going out there. And I just did a reel about this when the whole Maddox Farms thing happened and everybody's so outraged. Yeah, you could be mad at those people in the videos, but then you go to your mirror. It's because of you why they're in there, because you're doing this and you're doing this. Stop doing that. And they wouldn't do those things.
So, simple. I mean, who do you think is the worser kind of evil, the worser kind of person in this scenario? So the person in the slaughterhouse killing the animal, or the person at home that is paying for this to happen?
That is a really good question. So I think, because I was one of those people paying for that, and I am not an evil person. So to me, it's the people who know about this, who have seen it.
Yeah, let me change my question slightly based on what you just said there. So which is the worst, the person in the slaughterhouse that is doing the killing, or the person that just watched this drawing here that we just played and now knows the truth and still chooses to go ahead and purchase milk, eggs, and dairy?
The person that is still choosing to pay for it, because that person in the slaughterhouse is only doing that because that demand is there. And that's why I appreciate AV so much, because we focus on the accountability, which focuses on the demand. Once that demand goes away, all these Iowa oppressors, they're gonna go away. But people need to stop funding it. You need to stop funding animal abuse. You need to stop being an animal abuser, which is what you are. If you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser. I've said that many times. People do not like it. It's the reality.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move on here. I don't know we're doing enough for time. I'm good for time, but I got a 3-minute video that I made myself, just real short, about the dairy. Maybe it's only a minute long. And then I've got these 15 awesome activists that donated their time at home. They sent me a little video in. I really appreciate every one of you for all you do, especially at Activism, and for helping me, get all this together. So I'm going to go ahead and play that first video now. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. So this is why I don't consume dairy. So in the dairy industry, they have to actually artificially inseminate the cows. Of course, the cow never consents to this, and this is definitely not natural, i.e. the word artificial insemination. So exploiting the female organs of an animal here for financial gain is clearly wrong. So shortly after this intrusion here, the mother has a baby. So mom and baby here is a crucial moment where they bond. So mama will clean baby and constantly lick baby until baby can stand up. Usually that's how that works. Sometimes maybe a vet would intervene if there's any kind of problems there. And then unfortunately in the dairy industry, they have to be separated because baby's not allowed to drink mama's milk. I think some farms do let babies drink the milk maybe for the first day or so because there's crucial vitamins in the milk for baby. It's different on different farms. So this is what should happen next. They should get to hang out together and have some time in the fields. However, in the dairy industry, they're actually separated at this point. So baby gets taken away, and when babies are taken away from the mothers usually pine and cry for, it's known for months, sometimes looking for the boy or their daughter. And then baby is actually fed a milk replacer because mankind wants the milk for financial gain. The milk replacer, as you can see here, is given through a bottle. And if you look at the calf there, calves are usually crying because they want the mothers. And I mean, they're alone. I remember, do you remember when you was in the hospital? If you're watching and you've got children, how precious that moment was when you had a baby. Mum was holding the baby, everyone stood around, everyone's actually crying with joy. It's a precious moment, that bonding. And in the dairy industry, it's broken apart. They're separated just for milk and dairy. So that's another reason I don't consume this. I don't want to contribute to this kind of, I call it suffering, wouldn't you? And then, of course, shortly after this, baby is going to be taken to a slaughterhouse. And it's different. Some farms take them and slaughter them. I say kill, so it means the same thing. Kill them when they're really young, and they're used as veal. And so when you eat veal in a restaurant, it's a tender because it's a baby you're eating. And then those that are not brought up and reared as veal are actually, they get to live just a little bit longer before they actually go, to the slaughterhouse to be brutally killed for taste. So really, the dairy industry is actually the meat industry too. So if you're vegetarian and you went vegetarian because you think life's precious for the ethical reason, you might want to look at the dairy industry too and think about maybe going vegan. So please keep watching. I've asked some activist friends and activist groups to leave me a 30-second little video of why they do not consume dairy. I'm just going to go ahead and play them right now.
The question shouldn't be, why do I not consume cow's breast milk? The question should be, why are you consuming that? Someone was forcibly impregnated for that, and she was pregnant for 9 months. And when she gives birth, her baby is taken. Can't have the baby sucking up all the milk. Gotta bottle it up for you. Your mother's breast milk was made for you when you were a baby. Her breast milk is made for her baby as well. And she goes through multiple births and loss, about 3 to 4. And when her body breaks down, off to the slaughterhouse. Why would I want the blood on my hands? Why do you?
So I don't consume dairy because in the dairy industry, they enslave the female cows. They have to have a baby every year and they're forcibly impregnated. All the babies are taken away from the mothers. And as soon as the mother can't produce milk anymore, they have the visit to the slaughterhouse, they kill the male babies and call them worthless. So when I buy or purchase dairy products, I'm paying for that suffering to happen. So I don't want to be an animal abuser, so go vegan.
Why should you not consume dairy? In order to answer this question, I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself this one question. Do I support the repeated impregnations, sexual exploitation, and murder of innocent beings and babies? I'm sure most of you would say, absolutely not. So should the question instead be, why am I still consuming dairy?
Name something you can't stand but a lot of people like. I'll go first.
No, please, let me go first. The dairy industry. The whole industry relies on the anal electrocution of bulls, which results in ejaculation, where the semen is sold to dairy farmers so that they can put it inside the cow in what is called artificial insemination, and the cow is pregnant, then gives birth, then the baby is taken away and the cow is put on milking machines so that we can take the milk that is actually made for the baby and sell it to grown-up adult human beings who are still breastfeeding for some reason. I'll pass.
Hi, I'm Daniel. Dairy products come from sexually exploiting adult cows, murdering the babies if it's a male, and then ultimately stabbing the mother in the throat when her body can no longer take the abuse. The dairy industry is evil and absolutely needs to end.
And I stood there amongst all these tiny, broken, crying little babies, and some of them still covered in afterbirth, most of them still with bloody navels, and I realised the price that was being paid to get that milk that I had been getting only a month or so earlier. And I think I cried for the first 2 weeks, every day when I was in the calf pens.
Many women choose to feed their babies with the milk their body produces. The cows who are exploited for their milk are not given that choice. I would be devastated to have my child taken away from me. I can't even begin to imagine what that would feel like. But that's what happens to mother cows on dairy farms. Cows are forcibly impregnated, and then often just within hours after birth, their calves are taken away from them.
Why shouldn't I consume dairy products? For the same reason I wouldn't like to be enslaved for someone else's profitability. I wouldn't like some farmer shoving his arm all the way up my asshole to inject me with some male sperm that the farmer manually ejaculated from the bull. There is no such thing as good animal husbandry in the year of 2022.
Why I don't consume dairy? Oh, I would definitely tell people why I don't consume dairy. Several reasons, but the main one is there even a main one? And for me, there is a main one because I was exploited for my sexuality, and I can totally relate to a female cow being sexually exploited. That's not okay.
Hello, this is Kyle Uzinski with Project Animal Freedom. I have been a vegan since the age of 12 when I first discovered the horrors and injustices and atrocities of the animal abuse industry. I am, in particular, disturbed by the dairy industry, wherein baby cows are forcibly separated from their mothers who are artificially inseminated in the first place to give birth. No mother should have to lose her child year after year, pregnancy after pregnancy.
Why shouldn't I consume dairy products? The real question is, why would I pay a farmer to put a spiked nose ring in a baby cow? If humans drink milk, then that means there's a baby cow somewhere that didn't. There's no such thing as good animal husbandry in the year 2022.
Hey, my name's Andrew Alexander, and in this video I'm telling you why I don't drink dairy. And when I think back since a younger age, where as a child I never wanted to eat eggs or drink milk or have any dairy products, I was forced onto me by my parents because I was told that it's something I needed to do, but since a young age the taste was just disgusting. And since I'd grown up, I had learned more about the cruelty behind the industry, and I choose not to participate in that. So whether it's for health purposes or for animal rights purposes, it's just something I choose not to do.
Dairy is a product of animal abuse. That fact is unavoidable. Dairy cows have been selectively bred to produce more milk. In fact, the average dairy cow today produces twice as much milk as they did just 40 years ago. Every year they are impregnated, and after a 9-month pregnancy they are separated from their calf. If they are male, they will be killed as waste. Eventually, after a few years of exploitation, the mother cow will be sent to the slaughterhouse to be bolted in the head and have a knife pulled across her throat.
All animal protein feeds cancer cells and creates an acidic environment in your body. And it's just unnecessary. There's no scientific need for humans to be drinking any other animal's milk.
I don't consume dairy because I am not a baby cow. There is nothing in cow's breast milk that I need that I cannot get from plants. Baby cows are taken from their mothers unwillingly so that they can be killed so that humans can take their breast milk for unnecessary consumption. And I refuse to be a part of that process.
Thank you, activists, for sending those clips in or sharing clips that you had. Really appreciate it. And I don't know if you've heard, there's a new documentary coming out, and the producer actually sent me a little behind-the-scenes clip. He wants to do a little talk and show his trailer today. The documentary is called Creating a Vegan World, and I'll just play it right now.
Hey, my name's Andrew Alexander. I'm producer of the documentary Creating a Vegan World, and I filmed this documentary to really learn what it takes to change the world at a system-wide level. So there's a lot of great work being done for individual activists in the corporate world with companies that are creating great vegan products. But I wanted to focus on is creating system-wide changes so we could change the world faster. So, for example, some of the interviews in the film, I interviewed Dr. Clapper, where he's educating medical school students about plant-based nutrition. So this way, the next generation of doctors will be able to recommend plant-based diets to their patients. And I'd like to focus on the system-wide changes because instead of educating a doctor one-on-one when we shift the medical school system, that changes the world in the medical sense. And there's other interviews such as Laura Reese, she's starting a vegan lobbying organization that shifts government subsidies away from animal agriculture and into more sustainable agriculture practices. So those are just two examples, and through the film, I focus on all areas of society, whether it's business, materials innovation, investing, finance, even religion, sociology, and other types of activism to learn about creating system-wide change. So that's why I'm really excited to present this film. And if you want to learn more about it, if you want to watch it when it's released, you could go to veganworldfilm.com. And if there's more questions about it, feel free to contact me on there.
There are so many problems in this world. This is a story of what it takes to change the world, told by the people who are already doing it, regardless of the impact you want to make. It's up to you to be the solution.
If we're going to transition into plant-based agriculture, there's a massive process that needs to happen.
We need a big, professional lobbying organization that can bring this message to lawmakers, because ultimately that's where the power is. You can stand out on the street holding a sign all day long, we can write books, we can make movies, but when we get laws passed at the state and federal level, we are making immediate, wide-scale change.
If 10% of American vegans gave just $10 a month, we would out-influence big animal ag.
My hope is that people listening to this will contemplate what they can do to get into the game and actually make a difference, to help move the alternative protein movement forward and help start solving this problem of increased meat consumption that the world is facing right now.
As we want to change the world, we need people who are using innovation. Vegan businesses create alternatives to products that are harming animals or hurting our environment.
We have to create a demand so that suppliers and manufacturers are forced to look into alternatives.
Rather than fighting with consumers and asking them to give up something they love, whether it's meat or leather, we're saying, hey, here's something better, but you're not giving up anything.
Restaurants are starting to realize that they need to adapt, because if they're not going to adapt their menus and at least cater to the vegan community, they're going to miss out.
I'm excited about how I feel. I feel so much better now that I'm not eating meat. You want to live a healthy life. You want to feel better when you're 70, 80 years old. You got to start getting educated.
I didn't go into medicine to manage chronic disease. I wanted to cure people. And these diseases are reversible.
We can not only halt disease progression, but we often will see significant elements of disease reversal.
Things have changed so much. I don't think back in the day people even knew what the word vegan meant. 9 out of 10 people now know.
So it is possible for us to see a thriving earth, abundance of food, abundance of biodiversity, and a stable climate. That's all possible.
My hope is that people listening to this will contemplate what they can do to get into the game and actually make a difference.
Once we get a groundswell in those individual behaviour changes, once we get a groundswell in corporate change, then there's pressure to create that political change. And when there's political change, we will see dramatic shifts in animal protection.
If you care about this issue, it's not enough to just be vegan. You have to do more.
So thank you, Andrew, for sending that in. I really appreciate it. And you have my 100% support in making this documentary. And like I said at the start of this presentation today, I was kind of new at this. This is actually the first time I've used this software environment. So I know the comments are in slow mode. I don't know how to fix that right now. So it just has to stay like that for this time. I apologize for that. And if you're still not vegan yet, well, we've got a short video here that we're going to play, and then we're going to discuss. And if there's any activists out there that want to jump on here and say why they gave up dairy, go ahead and send me a message there. I haven't checked my Facebook for a while, so let me pull that up real quick. So I probably have a whole bunch of messages. So this is, there's an investigation going on for animal cruelty in Wales, in England. And it's called Maddox Dairy Farm. Oh, I thought I'd just warn people that there is some graphic footage in this. So if you're, let's say, under 18, I recommend getting your parents' consent to watch it. So.
Animal Equality has gone undercover inside this Welsh dairy farm and documented lame cows being violently abused, tormented, and left to die in agonizing pain for days without medical care. We're now urging the Welsh authorities to prosecute Maddox Farm and the individuals who committed the distressing crimes you're about to witness. Maddox Farm, located in southern Wales, provides milk to Freshways, a major processor of dairy products and supplier to British Airways, Costa, Londis and other major retailers across the UK. At the farm, a slurry of waste flows across the concrete floor. The cold metal of the milking carousel is caked in it, as are their hooves that never dry. She'll spend her entire life walking back and forth from these dark and dirty stalls until her body finally collapses or can't produce enough anymore. 25% of cows in the UK's dairy industry suffer from lameness.
We've got a lot of lame cows for some reason again.
Referred to by her number, 576 is limping on her way to be milked.
Come on, you look.
Because she is slow to exit the stall, an enraged worker punches her in the face repeatedly to hurry her out. Number 209 can no longer hold her own weight and collapses in the milking stall. To get her to stand, she is forcefully kicked in the stomach and back by multiple workers. The trapped cow is eventually dragged out by her tail while her legs are kicked underneath her. Throughout our investigation, violence towards sick and lame cows was prevalent. Cows are routinely kicked and hit in the face to get them to move. Their tails are regularly twisted, an act which inflicts significant pain. Number 440204 has just given birth and collapses in a doorway. In response, one worker forcefully twists her tail, while another kicks her in the udders, forcing her to stand. But she collapses again. In one incident, a sick cow is tormented as she is restrained. The acting manager is seen laughing as she strikes her with a feeding tube while attempting to insert it into her mouth and down her throat. Agitated and clearly distressed, she suffers internal injuries and bleeds profusely. She is not checked or treated for this injury. During our investigation on Maddox Farm, we discovered widespread lameness and gross unlawful treatment and handling of lame and sick animals.
Who's gonna get the gun now? Shoot her, now. You come in? And we all have cow for dinner. We all have cow for dinner then?
Animal Equality's investigation of Maddox Farm exposed serious repeated violations of the Animal Welfare Act. Cows and calves were routinely hit, caused serious distress, and made to experience unjustifiable and entirely preventable prolonged suffering. Our investigation also uncovered an apparent working policy on the farm to avoid paying available veterinarians to promptly euthanize dying animals. Instead, workers are instructed to wait for a dead stock removal. This farm deliberately leaves cows to suffer and slowly die, a fact the acting manager acknowledges.
I told Meredith, there's a guy coming to do it today or tomorrow. Thing is, the vet charges a lot of money.
Suffering that is both unnecessary and knowingly preventable.
Maybe not today.
Should dead tomorrow?
Maybe. Yeah. Try it multiple places, and this is one place where you'd rather just save the money and yeah.
Dead. One that was yesterday, the vet was done. Yeah.
Maddox Farm's approach to euthanizing animals by prolonging their suffering for days likely means that other animals will experience the same agonizing end. Join us in demanding that Maddox Farm be held accountable for its crimes. You can also help by leaving dairy and other animal products off your plate.
So, Entice, I want to ask you a quick question here before I go any further. If there's people watching right now that are not vegan yet, they still consume dairy products, what would you want to say to them right now?
How long we got left?
Oh yeah, we got like hours.
So you have to understand, do you want the blood of innocent beings on your hands? Do you want to be labeled an animal abuser? Most people don't want those titles. Okay. And when you are not vegan, you are an animal abuser. It is just that simple. And I would say everything that we've watched, everything that we've seen, you want to fund that? And most people would say they're against violence. Most people would say they're against exploitation. Most people would say that they're against abuse. But you're a walking, talking hypocrite because you're paying for it. Every single day as a non-vegan, you abuse animals in all your daily choices. Why do you want the blood on your hands? And it's just so simple to grasp that. And people want to make these videos of explaining why I become vegan. It's a very elementary concept. You don't want to be an animal abuser. Simple. So stop paying for it.
Okay, and then I just want to say to the any vegans watching that when I first went vegan, it was very hard for me to get out and stand in front of people in the streets and talk about going vegan. I was scared I was going to upset people. So I encourage vegans that at home that haven't took that leap yet to become an animal activist, to find out what's good for you. I mean, there's lots of different types of activism, including online social media. You can share posts, educational posts. You can put stickers on products in stores. You can do chalk drawings on the grounds. You can join Anonymous for the Voiceless, and they actually train you how to speak to people. They shadow you, and you just hold a sign the first time, and they really help you out. I started with Anonymous for the Voiceless. They're absolutely an amazing first step. That's how I learned from them. So if you're scared or afraid, I'm scared and afraid when I'm out there. It's okay. If you put yourself in the animals' shoes, they really need you to speak up for them. They don't have anyone else. Do you know there's only 1% of this world that are vegan? And do you know how many of that 1% are actually being brave, going out there and speaking up for animals? It's pretty small. So I encourage you, if you need any help going, trying to be an animal activist, message me. Check out the group, Worldwide Animal Activist Group, and I'll post links in there for all the top groups that you can start off with. And none of them charge anything. These are all free groups. So I appreciate you listening to us there. We're an hour and a half in, and let's put Entice back on here. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that a lot of people get hung up on the food aspect of veganism. Veganism is not a diet. Veganism is not about health. Veganism is not even about the environment. It is simply taking a moral stance that you are against animal cruelty and you are against animal abuse in all forms. And animals are abused in more ways than just food. They are abused for their skins to make clothing, to make linens, to make fabrics. They are abused when they are tested on for cosmetics, for fragrances, for detergents, for cleaning products. They are abused and exploited in entertainment industries for like circuses and zoos and aquariums and rodeos and horseback riding. And when you are vegan, you are simply against all of that. So your diet and your plate has nothing to do with the animals being abused in circuses and in zoos and at the animal testing facilities. So that's what I try to hone in on when I outreach people on the street, because a lot of people are hung up on the food aspect, which I get. Food is very important to us. It's part of our survival. We need that. So I understand why people get hung up on it, but I want them to focus on the animal rights part of it and understand that this is a justice issue. This is a justice issue. It has nothing to do with your diet. Nothing. And when you understand that and you are against their abuse, you will find what to eat, you will find what to wear. Like, it's second nature to me. Like, I don't even think twice. I don't even think twice when I go out into the world and I purchase things. I don't want the blood on my hands, period.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so let me see if I can share my screen now. For any dairy farmers that maybe watch this, I've got a document here that I want to share with you guys. And if there is any dairy farmers still watching at this point, I actually appreciate you guys sticking in and listening to what we had to say. So here's the website here. It's civilly.com, and they actually help people, farms transition, the plant-based movement to transition farmers away from the meat and dairy production. So if I'm just going to scroll through this, I haven't really reviewed the page myself too much, but it's free to review this, and if that helps and benefits you as a family, move away from the kind of suffering that you see when I can imagine, looking after your cows and then you send them to the slaughterhouse. I challenge you, go to the slaughterhouse with them and watch them being killed.
Exactly.
It might make you think twice,
And a lot of people, they do like to focus on saying, well, what about the jobs of the oppressors? What about their livelihood? These people can find different jobs. These animals can't find different lives. And people have to understand that. It's not about them. It's about the animals that they're murdering.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I just got this one here. I just, if anyone watching wants to know more about the dairy industry, this is it's called wired.com. And then once you get to that page, you can find this link. It's really easy to find in the emotional lives of dairy cows, and it breaks it down exactly step by step in more detail than me and Entice here. Because to be honest, we're not the professionals at explaining this. That's why it's so hard for us to try and get people to go vegan. We just speak from the animals' point of view. We speak up for the animals, and that's why we step out of our little comfort zone, to try and change the world. So,
and that's what I try to get people to understand. Like, this is not about me. This is not about my partner. This is not about this is about the victims. This is about them. It has nothing to do with me. Nothing.
Right. So I think we'll run out of time here now. I appreciate everyone for watching. Anyone's got any questions or anything, send me or Entice a message. And I want to thank all the activists that sent me those clips in. I really appreciate it. And Entice, do you want to say anything else?
Any time for a few comments, or we're
Yeah, let's go there. I see a whole bunch in.
Just a few.
I'm going to scroll through them all real quick. I'm sorry, I set it to slow mode because I was scared that people were going to start being abusive and I didn't have a moderator.
I do have something to say real quick. People are telling me that I have it all wrong from what I lay out on my Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Per a lot of oppressors and people who say that they have animals, and I have it wrong. There's no one forcibly impregnated, no one's babies are taken, and keep getting bombarded. No one goes to the slaughterhouse. I have been asking, if you have animals that you are selling, and if we're so wrong, please provide to us step by step what happens to your animals from birth to flesh, from birth to secretions in coffee, from birth to skins on a coat. I want to know the process. Tell me if we're so wrong. And you can't tell me, just tell me, actually. I want to see it. I need something tangible. I need documentation, facts. Please. I have been asking for this and I have yet to receive it. So I just want to just say that part, and I guess I'm done now.
That's fine. Yeah, and I want to say to any animal activists that are actually watching, if you've got any tips or feedback for us that we did good or opportunities, please let us know, because we want to be better at outreaching, the message. So I found a comment here by Ronnie George, and I'll just pop it up on the screen there. Does anyone know if this guy is open to a one-on-one discussions? I would like to hear how he responds to name the trait. So I think Ronnie's talking about the farmer. And Tice, would you know that?
He probably, you know what, for entertainment purposes, he probably would, and he would probably record it and probably put it on his page, manipulate it in a certain way, or maybe he'll be genuine and actually talk to you and maybe not film it. I don't know.
What's the name of his page?
Iowa Dairy Farmer.
Iowa Dairy Farmer. Okay.
If you tag him or if you messaged him, he might. I don't know. I don't know the guy.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Ronnie. And I'm keep scrolling down here as I go through these. I'm just really looking for questions right now. Oh, little dead spot in the dead air. Someone told me dead air is bad, so I wrote some notes here for some talking points.
If I have some real quick. So he was talking about not showing slaughter being compared to open heart surgery. First of all, surgery is consenting. Okay, people are consenting to surgery, or if they can't consent, their next of kin is consenting. Surgery is for the benefit of patients. Okay, and surgery is to help the person receiving that procedure. Slaughterhouse, murder house is not for the benefit of the animals. It's the benefit of the oppressor. So I don't understand how comparing open heart surgery to slaughterhouse footage, how that even makes sense. Ridiculous. Yeah. But I was just trying to talk while you look for a comment.
Oh yeah, keep talking.
Follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. My music, I'm just starting everything, so I need the world out there to share the content, because these messages need to get out there to people, because people don't know. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, so here's one from Tofu Matt, because I kind of stuttered over trying to explain how long the calves, live from the veal calf to the little older calves. So thanks for putting that information up there. So the male calves in the industry will be allowed to live anywhere between 1 and 32 weeks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I think I might have stumbled over a little bit the whole dehorning process. They say that cows are not violent. They are very submissive, very calm animals. And when you are enslaved, you can probably get a little violent. And when they're in transport, you can't damage that flesh. Cows, combating each other, damage that flesh. That hurts the pocket lining. So that's the reason why they dehorn the cows. It's not for anyone's benefit besides the oppressor that's doing it.
Right.
And that I saw with I would love to put that poker or whatever that device is called to one of their heads, their ears, and see how that feels. Supposedly there's no pain because they inject them with nerving agents. They inject them with, oh my gosh, that video is what set this all off.
Okay, appreciate that. One more comment there from Tofu Matt. Dairy is Scary can be found on YouTube. Yes. Have you seen Dairy is Scary?
Yes, video that stopped me from consuming cow's breast milk. Dairy is Scary.
Wow.
That was the video. Yep.
So if anyone wants to look that up on YouTube, you can go for it there. Okay, going through down here. I see a lot of users on here that just says Facebook user. So if you ever want your name, you want me to call out your name for watching and read your comment, you have to authenticate into YouTube or Facebook, I believe, when you log into the StreamYard picture there. I see a lot of nice comments thanking us here. Really appreciate it.
I was hoping we had someone who does sell cow's breast milk to give us some insight that we don't know, since we've got it all wrong. So I was hoping someone was here to let us know.
Yeah, I mean, if I see any comments here from a farmer or someone works on a farm or a vegetarian that has a justification not to go vegan, please go ahead and drop them in the comments right now. We're happy to question them.
That's another question I've been asking. What's your justification? Still, they just want to focus on me. Focus on me.
All right, and Tice, do you want to read this one?
Do you think it's harder trying to change a vegetarian's perspective on their abuse of non-human animals, or harder trying to convince a non-vegan that consumes animal flesh? It's definitely harder to convince a vegetarian because they already think that they're doing enough. And no matter what you tell them, they're doing their part. They're doing their part. And what's crazy is that you can show them and tell them about these industries, but in their mind, they're already set. They're already doing what they think they need to do. So vegetarians, even when I do my outreach, I've spoken to some vegetarians who were actually receptive of what I was saying, but there were some vegetarians that were combative, and it was a lot harder to talk to them than the non-vegan. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I would add on to that too, that there's two different types of vegetarian. There's a vegetarian that does it for health benefits, and there's also the vegetarian that's an ethical vegetarian that respects life, which I was. And then once you wake up to the truth about the egg and the dairy industry here, it kind of it's easy to outreach to an ethical vegetarian versus, the other type of vegetarian. So awesome question there, Tofu Matt.
Good question. And there's the number of vegetarians outweigh vegans. I wish vegetarians were vegans. I wish they were.
So sorry, Brian H. Erdley, I hate reading my own name. What was that organization that asked for $10 a month? Now, I'm not 100% sure because that was just a trailer of the documentary that's coming out soon, Creating a Vegan World. But you can actually go to YouTube and search YouTube for Creating a Vegan World. And it's actually somebody's group there on YouTube, and you can go in there and watch all the documentaries in there. He has that organization on there. It's Andrew's channel there. He does interviews with the organizations and with the people on that documentary. So thank you for asking there.
And I love that type of activism, because I focus on, the outreach. And I know they said it's, what so much you could do on the street, but on the street, combining it with the internet, I think that myself and a lot of activists we're doing a great job. And then we are going to need those people on the back end, in the governments and the politics. So in a collective way, in a cohesive way, we're gonna change all of it.
For sure. Mm-hmm. I'll let you read. We'll take turns reading them.
Oh yeah, sure. So Kate, shout out. So true, I became an ex-carnist overnight after one video I wish I saw 1 decade ago. I really do, man. I really do. And I saw just a couple of Netflix documentaries is what, made me go vegan. But I wish I would have saw this. And I've only been vegan 5 years. So, and I have this young face, but I have a lot of decades I've been on this world. Well, let's say a lot, but I have a few decades I've been on this world. And I wish I knew those things long time ago.
What's this one here? Okay, Midwest Animal Rights. If you would like to bring me in, there's a few things that I would like to cover. Absolutely, Tofu Matt. Let me
let's get a
link. I'll send you a little link here, and all you've got to do is, I believe, click on the link and just do whatever it tells you to do. I've like I said, this is the first time I've ever used this software, and I tell you, StreamYard, they make it easy for me. I just went on YouTube, watched.
You're doing
a few, how to do stuff, and it just kind of worked out for me.
You're doing great.
Oh, appreciate it.
And while we're waiting for Tofu Matt to come on, I want people to stop. I want people to stop thinking that the animal rights activists are the wrong people. That we're the militants and the aggressors and the extremists. All we're trying to get is for you to stop stabbing animals to death and slicing their throats. How is that extreme? And if we're so extreme, what do you call the people slashing the throats? And what you just saw at Maddox Farms, what's that? Saints? Well said, Tice. Thanks, Christine.
Yeah, most farmers and like you said, they're not bad people. I mean, there's good and bad in all of us,
I know.
really, and it's what we draw out the most of us that makes us who we are. And I forgot even where I was going with that there. It'll come back to me in a second. I'm just like trying to do 3 things at once.
We're doing something, trying to do something good in this world, and the people that think it's us, at the end of the day, what are you at home doing? Who are you trying to save? Who are you trying to liberate? Whose oppression are you trying to stop? No one's. You're funding it, so it's not us.
So hey Matt, nice to see you. If anyone doesn't know, Matt's actually been ethical vegan for around 6 years now, and he's pretty much done every kind of activism you can think of. And he actually started his own form of activism that makes him, a little more comfortable. So I'll let Matt tell us real quickly what that is.
Yeah, hey, how are you doing, Brian and Tice? So anyways, my name's Tofu Matt. I go by Matt usually. But yeah, I have actually got involved in just about every type of activism, street activism, protests, legality, you name it, just any type that I can get involved in. And yeah, it's been very rewarding to me. It's been something that without it, I would feel like I was empty, because obviously I deal with depression all the time from like some of the stuff that you shared earlier. And it was very saddening and it really depressed me. It kind of really brought me down a little bit but I do want to say that, as long as I have been doing activism, that you never become numb, used to it, immune, or any of those type of things, to where, it's not going to break your spirit from knowing what's going on, seeing, the truth and that footage that's being shared with the public.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's horrendous to think that humanity, would be so low to commit these, horrendous and vile acts to the most innocent creatures on this planet. And really, Entice really touched on some points that, wow, it just really kind of went through my whole body. Just, hearing her speak those words, especially the part that was talking about how she just cannot understand how a female would, allow these type of things after being made aware of what happens to females. And when I think about that, I not only think about females and people that say they are feminists. Of course, obviously, they think they are feminists because they're speaking up for the rights of human women. But you see, I'm not even a feminist, but I am speaking up for all women because it's just something that is morally repulsive, to even consider or think about, even subjugating or forcing my views onto, a female. And not only females, but when you're doing it to the females, you're also bringing in the males also, because as you were talking about earlier, I think someone was saying, may have been you, Brian, but you said about the electro ejaculator, and actually looking at what an electro ejaculator is, it looks like a big, huge rocket with handles that these farmers, they force, into the opening of a bull to basically stimulate the prostate of that bull so that they can collect the sperm to impregnate, the female cow. Now it's really appalling to think that humanity would do this. And it really makes me question what kind of farmer would, do this? What kind of woman would be that farmer's wife, to do it? And it makes me wonder, and I got to thinking about it. And after enough, of looking into this, I come to find out that these farmers pay someone else to do this. This is not something typically that the farmers do on their own. They pay someone that is like like a migrant, or somebody who they can pay. They might even pay a decent wage, but usually they get people that are in that vulnerable position, because no type of normal person, I'm just going to use the word normal because there's no normalcy with the abuse of committing these. Did you want to say something, Brian?
Oh no, sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Interrupt you.
But I really want to kind of touch on this in depth a little bit if we have the time.
Yeah, sure.
It's not only with really wondering how women do this type of thing, how they could go through life with no thought on their mind, no conscious about these choices that they make, while they're walking through the store and throwing bottles of, a cow's breast milk inside of their cart, or some dairy cheese, or, it's like, it's not only them. I have to really criticize those type of people who are also in social justice movements that, should understand what, basically draw the correlations between their own suffering and the suffering of what these innocent individuals go through.
Mm-hmm.
So, where I don't get it is that, okay, for example, there are people that are, in the LGBTQIA, and these are very marginalized people. I just feel like, if we had more of them on our side, that we could actually start putting a real dent in the dairy industry. Because you see, if any group or a people or organization or any type of, congregation of people would understand or should understand this more clearly than anyone, those are the people that I would see at being in the front of the line, not the back of the line.
Makes sense.
So
Yep.
when I think about the LGBTQIA, and I'm not trying, I want to be clear. I want to just clarify on something. I'm not trying to attack them, because I really think that, if they were really aligned themselves with all of the things that they say they are against, they would not be the type of people that would, be in support of it. They would be the farthest people from this. And I'm not only with the LGBTQIA, but also with other marginalized groups. There's people like the Black Lives Matter. There's Jewish groups. There's just different types of groups that have dealt with oppression. So when I think about all of the quotes and sayings and writings that were made from Holocaust, survivors and those who have passed but left a documented record behind, it really fills me up. It really touches me in a certain way. It's like, wow, how am I the only person in this world, it feels like, to feel what they had personally went through, or what they still may be going through, or having to, live in, this, systemic way of oppressing others. It's like, I just don't understand why they would still do that, of all people. Maybe Entice can touch on this a little better than I can, but
Yeah, you hit some valid points, and I've made a reel about this. It being Black History Month, me being Black, a female, and gay, touching on all those things. I will never understand how groups of people who have suffered oppression, and they should know, and you said it, they should know, they should understand it. But see, that's the thing, the human supremacist comes in, because my own family has said to me, well, those are animals you're talking about, that they're not human. So it starts with that human supremacist mind frame that they need to get out of. and understand that non-humans can suffer, non-humans can be oppressed, non-humans can be abused, non-humans can suffer cruelty. And once you understand that, you shouldn't pay for it, period, because your people suffered that in that way. And I actually posted on Facebook yesterday of African American female who is vegan, and she was talking about veganism being a white thing, and it was a 15-second video. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But I'll never understand how my people, my family, they should know about oppression more than anybody, and they're paying for it every single day. Every single day.
Would you say, Entice, that this is the largest and longest standing injustice in all of history, and that this is by far the purest form of racism that could ever be?
Yeah, it definitely is the longest, the biggest injustice, the longest happened years ago, hundreds of years ago, happening today. Hopefully it won't happen in the future, but it absolutely is the longest standing injustice. Absolutely.
So, when I think about this, when you say that people sometimes become very offended and they run with it like it's like you're trying to attack them, like, you're trying to place non-human animals over humans. And for me, I have reached a certain point now to where anymore I do say, yeah, actually I do place non-human animals over humans. And for so many reasons. I mean, it's kind of like built up over a span of time and different reasonings why I feel this way. Not because I genuinely, think that all humans are bad, but I think that when people, the very same people that are the ones needlessly abusing others, say these type of things, it's like, well, why would I not, place them above you? Because actually, it is also a human rights issue in a way. I'm not going to defend humans. That's not what my fight is for. But I'd still see it as, if those same people that say, well, humans are better, well, if humans are better, then you would surely become vegan. In other words, you would stop abusing non-human animals, because it also comes at not only the high cost of non-human lives, but it also comes at the high cost of human lives by making wrong and immoral decisions.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Gary Yourofsky said it the best. We are the most unimportant, unvalid figments of anything on this planet. If you remove the humans on this planet, everything flourishes. The mountains, the water, the air, animals. We are so unimportant and we've seen it a little bit during the COVID lockdowns of how everything was just flourishing because we weren't involved. So if we are that unimportant, why do we hold ourselves on this hierarchy of we're top, we're number one? If we're that unimportant, if you take away bees, ants, sharks, the whole thing collapses. The whole thing collapses. Where do we get off thinking that we are the most important species on this planet? Where?
Well, here's something to think about, though, Entice. And I've thought about it a long time. Many people, like, you made a good point there, valid point there about that. And, people say, well, what if, we did not have them? Well, basically what that kind of does also is it says that, well, the only reason why they should live is because without them, we can't live. And that is just, kind of selfish in its own, just for saying, well, it's kind of like the same thing with humans that say, well, I'm a vegan for health. Well, that's not what this veganism is about, the way that I understand it. But people will say, well, if it's something that benefits me, then it's okay. It's the same thing with, well, I don't want to get too far off the topic here, of like speaking about cows and just what, they're forced into, they're subjugated into this whole lifetime of a literal hell. Many of them are, and especially like in the summertime, they're asphyxiated, they can't breathe in these places, they end up falling over and dying. And I mean, this list of atrocities that go on to cows can go on for a mile. And a lot of this stuff, when people say the small local farms, well, actually, I have heard it said from some of those small local farms that the things that they do or have done in the past make the documentary Dominion look like it's kind, and we know it, like Doc, you mentioned Dominion earlier, and that's the main documentary that I often share with the public and those who I come into contact with. But as horrendous and abhorrent as the things we've seen inside of that documentary, it makes the local farms look like, well, I mean, like it's nothing compared to what really goes on behind the scenes. Because when you look at these dead piles of cows that basically get scrapped, and then they also have this things for like collagen, where they take these long syringes and stuff and they just shoot it right through the mother cow into the baby's head, so they could collect it. I mean, these are all things that do not get discussed or talked about. And that's primarily because it has a lot to do with, the biomedical industry and people that are making billions of dollars, off of their suffering. I mean, cutting these babies, out of the mothers, just ripping them right out of them. And, and actually they do thumping on cows, even just like they do with baby piglets, by grabbing them by their hind legs and smacking their head on the concrete, and until they're dead. I mean, it's like, you would not think, but we live in such a society of people that it could be the people right down the block from you that hold these views. And it's like, wow, you mean to tell me that my life is going to be in constant fear now, because I don't know, what your mind is capable of doing if you're thinking of, if you, want to be responsible for acts like this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's very provoking to think, that it could be anybody. It could be the next door neighbor. It could be anyone that holds these thoughts. And when people make these invalid excuses, and they throw up all of these these invalid justifications for doing these things, it just kind of really lets me know where they stand on other issues.
And and I have been, someone asked a question about, not many people know that cows have to be pregnant in order to produce milk. I didn't know that. So, and that's why this Facebook user said that education is huge. That's why we're doing this. I started my own February campaign because February was, February was created to combat Veganuary. I guess some cow oppressors wanted to create February to be about dairy farmers and getting support for them. I don't know how long February has been a thing. I think it's new, maybe 4 or 5 years. So what I've been doing is every single day of February, I've been tagging 28 cow oppressive industries, whether it be overseas, whether it be companies, whether it be farms, or wherever. And I've been tagging 28 of them for the 28 days in February. And I've been tagging my Mother's Right song with a reel, asking them to think about changing their way of living and changing their industry to something that's not exploiting individuals. And And maybe there's a company out there who saw the video and I don't know, maybe it changed their mind. I don't know. But I that's what I'm really hoping. So that's what I've been doing all of February, to get that message out there, to get to just spread that word.
Yeah. I don't, that Iowa farmer, that was one of the farmers that responded evidently to on one of those days that you have been doing for February. Watching that video, I had the very same thoughts and reactions as you did, and I thought, well, I mean, there is nothing more cruel and evil than what I heard come from that man. And when I think of him, he is the type of person that can give you bad dreams, because he basically holds these certain types of views. He actually is in full support of like slavery. Of course, he did not like you using the R word. Let's just call it rape. That's what it is. It's rape. There's no sugarcoating. And
Exactly.
I mean, if people want to sugarcoat, they can go talk to Willy Wonka or something. But we're not going to do that here, because if it were to happen to them, it would be completely different. It wouldn't be, we treat our slaves good, or they're well treated, or it's there's no right way to do the wrong thing. Whether
Exactly.
you send these cows off, to someone else, to get murdered, and and not only just, they say, well, we give them a painless death, at these slaughterhouses. There's no such thing. What about them wanting to live just as much as you? When I've seen the videos where they were put those electro ejaculators, put in this like super huge rocket. It looked like a rocket. I'm not gonna lie. It looked like it was like this round. They were.
I just posted that. I just posted that yesterday, and I even admitted, I sometimes, not that I forget about the males, but I do focus a lot on the females. And then the other day I was just like, okay, I need to bring some focus to the males, because they always talk about how the bulls, if they were in there with the females, how they would be aggressive. And I posted a reel, and they probably would get aggressive because maybe they're sick of having that device shoved in their rectum, and they're sick of being the ejaculator machine, and they're sick of that.
And Tyson, and you brought up a point earlier. You were talking about humans giving consent to this. Now, I know many people are not going to want to, like, hear us talk about the reality of what goes on, even in the lives of humans. But, there are people that, might be into this thing, called, fisting or whatever. But that's their thing. These cows never gave consent. And when I seen that big rocket, like in several videos that they were shooting up these cows, that, it vibrates and all this stuff, I thought, well, if the humans want to do that in their own privacy, then that's maybe one thing. We're not here to discuss that.
So I got a question. Oh, sorry, I'll just interrupt real quick. I got a question. Do you think most people think it's maybe easier just to not look, maybe turn a blind eye because they like cheese too much, or it's just so much easier when, especially, I'm not, before I went vegan, I too, it was my fault. I was paying for this, but I have got to admit, in this world, there is a lot of peer pressure that comes around you too. For example, people would say to me, why are you going vegetarian now? Why are you going vegan now? We're going out for dinner. You got a fridge full of meat. You're being stupid again. So little comments like that from friends or people around you is really off-putting. So for some people, it's just so much easier just to follow along because they don't want to upset the loved ones or friends. So I challenge people to get out of that, snap out of it. You've just watched this. You can put it on YouTube there. You can rewatch it if you have to. So I see. My question is: do you think it's more easier for people just not look?
Yeah, I think it may. Of course, you put a blinder on somebody, that means that they one don't have to see the cruelty, and two, they don't have to be held accountable to it. So it makes it a whole lot easier. And that's why, and I've even seen it and heard people say, well, don't show me that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. They want to stay blind. Well, they're in fear of seeing that footage, but they want to stay blind so they can stay comfortable with doing something they know deep down inside that they're against.
Right. So I challenge people. Sorry, I challenge usually all activists that don't stop. Never stop outreaching at people. That just wait for that moment. Even if they tell you to shut up, you know, I tell people, just wait your moment. There'll be a time that a situation comes up, and the words will just come to you. Like today, everything we're saying today is just coming to us because we step out of that zone. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. If I may touch on what you said, Brian. The thing is that, yeah, I know I have had have so many interactions, you know, from those who I've spoke to while, you know, engaging with the public, and I have spoken with vegetarians. There were certain vegetarians, not very many, that were susceptible to what I had to share. They did listen with you know, open ears. But then there were quite a few vegetarians that came by. They did not want to fix their eyes on the screen, and they said, "Oh, you're speaking to the choir. You know, I know all about that." Well, if you know all about that, then why are you telling me right now that you're a vegetarian? And those are the target market that I've always, you know, tried to speak with the most, because once I find out what their whole reasoning for becoming vegetarian was, then that helps me to figure out, you know, where to take that course on, you know, bringing them, you know, turning them in the right direction, you know, and not, you know, being oppressor that, you know, pays to have, you know, other individuals enslaved and tortured and murdered, you know. So
I'm sure Entice will agree with me. You know, when you've been doing your street activism, you know, the question on the screen right there. We're not going to reach everybody, so we patiently wait for open-minded people to walk past and actually come over to the screens, and that's why we're out there on the streets, waiting for those people that have that little extra bit of compassion, that are interested, and that's how people watch the video footage. You can't make anyone watch the footage.
That's what they talk about, is that if they're not ready to receive the message, there is nothing you can do that is going to change their mind. And I have tried with, you know, especially my mom. I don't think I've outreached anyone harder than my own mom. And she will not watch what I send her. Because why? She doesn't want to change. She doesn't want to change. She wants to keep doing what she's doing. She doesn't want to be uncomfortable. She doesn't want to be held accountable. She wants to keep doing what and that's what the world wants to just keep doing. You can't make someone watch it. So whoever's asking that question, it doesn't matter what you say. And people want to say, oh, don't be mean, don't be aggressive, take the Earthling Ed approach. Or some people say you have to be mean, take the AV or the Joey Carbstrong approach. This is not about approaches. You can be the sweetest old lady approaching someone. If they are not ready to receive that message, it doesn't matter what you say.
So just to add on to that too. So sometimes when I'm outreaching, if I see a person doesn't stop, and sometimes I just say, hey, nice t-shirt there. You like Star Wars or something? What I'm trying to do there is just make some kind of connection. And then based upon that connection on how the person responds, we have a kind of a respect for each other. And then I'm going to kind of share the truth at that point. So that's how sometimes I get people to watch videos. I sometimes, when I share a video to a Facebook group or on YouTube, it all depends on the comment that I put above it, that I'm trying to intrigue people, maybe use reverse psychology, maybe say it's free, words like that. But that's all I had on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, they just have to be ready to receive that. They have to be ready to have their mind challenged, as Paul Bashir would say. They have to be ready to have everything that they learn questioned. This goes with going against everything that you know, that you grew up knowing. And what we do is we do a 360 of that. Well, actually not 360, a 180 of that, and turn them into a whole new direction. A whole new direction. Because we don't want a 360. We don't want them landing right back to where they were. So like, it's challenging of their minds, and they have to be willing to accept that.
True that. Yeah, I would say, Tice, it's really not even about changing people. They're just basically, not taking from someone, something that, never belonged to them in the first place. So I mean, and I think with all of this, like changing people, they get the wrong idea of thinking that something, there's going to be some sort of outcome, that's going to be bad in the end or something like this. It's like the unknown, the fear of this unknown. And to give a little example of that, okay, there is a certain butter that my best friend's mom has been using all of her life. She's 85 years old. Okay. And one day, my friend told his mom, he said to her, well, this is plant-based butter. It's vegan. Well, when he said that, she was already, every time she makes these little slurs and different things that say, like, well, you don't want to go out with me to the steakhouse and this place because, you don't eat animals. Well, the thing is the moment he told her that the product that she was using is plant-based, she stopped immediately from getting that, and she went to a cruelty butter. And how I know this is because the person that is he is the person that my friend is the person that does the shopping for the mom, being that she's 85 years old and she's unable to do a lot of things for herself. So yeah, I do think it also has a lot to do with the things that these industries are also trying to attack veganism with. They're trying to say, well, if you do this is going to happen. If you do that's going to happen. And it's like, yeah, we hear them all the time from people. So you hear somebody that is more generational say those things. That means they were talking to their stylist or, some person that they've known, their doctor, that they won't change to a younger doctor. They'll stick with the one that they've been with for their entire life, because obviously he knows more because he was performing lobotomies on people back in the 1960s,
I just got the question there on the screen there. Well, it's kind of a statement, really.
Yeah.
I remember outreaching to somebody once, and they really took it offensive. I'm showing them on the screen of the baby male chicks being dropped into a macerator on day one of life, and this vegetarian's like, I do enough. I don't harm the animals. So and so I said, you're against animal abuse, but you still pay for this? That would make you a hypocrite. And she stormed off. And you know what was good about that interaction? I got under her skin, and it's what we call planting seeds. And she'll go away, and she's going to be irritated. She'll be thinking about that moment, and she's going to see the screen, flashbacks of the screen, and then hopefully slowly she'll change by herself. So it's really important when you're outreaching to a vegetarian, don't be afraid. Just take the shame, take the criticism from them, because the animals that are wanting us to speak up for them, you've seen what they're going through, and we're all they've got, So I hope that helps you.
That mirror is a deadly thing. And once you turn that mirror to them, they are going to make it seem like it's you. I have been criticize and bash. And I actually thank Iowa Oppressor. Actually, I said that to him in a message. I thank you, because I have gotten a lot of trolls, but I have also gotten a lot more views on a lot of things. My reels, my videos. I have a lot more people coming to seeing my content. But I've been getting a lot of bashing and criticizing towards me. But people say that we're doing that to them. I mean, at the end of the day, though, if you were to talk about any other injustice or any type of act of cruelty, if a guy was molesting his child and I'm calling him out on that, you're damn right I'm criticizing you. You're damn right I'm shaming you. That's fucking disgusting.
Absolutely.
So this is just a different form of injustice that you are contributing to. You are contributing to the enslavement, the torture, the murder of beings that shouldn't be happening to them. You're paying for that. So yes, I am shaming you, judging you, criticizing you. You call it what you want. You're getting all that from me, especially if you talk to me. I'm not going to talk to you like this. I'm getting a little angry thinking about it, but I'll have a nice professional conversation. But yes, you are going to be held accountable. That spotlight is going to be on you. You are going to be in the hot seat, and you are going to face your mirror. And if you're angry at yourself, not me.
So on this statement here again, I just want to emphasize as well, when you outreach to a person and you've made that connection with them, it's really important to keep calm and not let your emotions flare up, and focus on getting your truth across, get that message across to them.
Yes.
And you can expect some retaliation a little bit, but that's our job as an activist. And if you're not with Anonymous for the Voiceless, I definitely recommend checking them out. They actually teach you step by step how to be a stronger person verbally, and how to monitor a person's body language, so you know when they're getting the message and not. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely a whole different person when I'm out on the street, when I'm face to face with people. Not to say that, I'm phony online and different in person, but I talk to people differently on the street because sometimes they have children with them, and we have a set of questions and different steps that we follow with AV. So I talk to people differently than, let's say, in a DM or in a comment section. We have a professional structure that we hold when we're doing outreach, and I'll admit sometimes I give myself a little bit online. Not to say I curse at people or say call them names, but structure is maybe a little bit different when I'm online. I feel like I could be a little freer, I guess.
So I mean, I mentioned earlier, and a great social media activist, when they see a comment that's like negative, they're not going to respond straight away. You've got to refrain from that and actually think about that comment and how you can make some kind of connection with them, and then go from there. You don't have to respond straight away, and that's a key skill on social media, because it's always going to be there waiting for your comment.
Yeah, I use the word animal abuser a lot online or on Instagram. I don't really call people animal abusers on the street. I dance around it a little bit, because like I said, it's different when you're face to face with someone and you have a screen. It's just a different conversation. It's just a different atmosphere, a different aura. Not, like I said, not to say I'm trying to be fake or phony in person, but I'm less apt to call them an animal abuser if we're doing a structured Q outreach, as opposed to, saying someone coming on my comment screen talking about my attire and saying bacon, though. Oh, you're definitely getting called an animal abuser, 100%.
Entice ain't nice.
So,
I am. I'm nice. You can just yell at me. I'll just stand there and keep pushing your buttons.
But I applaud you for that.
Yeah, it's just, having balance. It's just having a balance, and there's different ways to do activism when you're on the street, line, when music. So
yeah, and then Taisia, what you just said there is spot on. The different ways of doing activism, because we're all three individuals that are totally different. So if there was one person in front of us now and we're all outreaching to this person, they may not even like one of us and won't even listen. They turn off. They won't even listen. and maybe they'll appreciate the other person. Maybe they're more attracted to that person. They'll stir. They made that rapport a lot quicker than they did with us. So it's important that the more activists come at different angles, the more chance we've got at that person actually listening.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, you're right. I agree with you on that, Brian. Yeah, because it's even among, those who defend non-human animals. I mean, there's certain types of, role models we think we all have. Like, for example, I would say, honestly, if nobody has checked out Entice's YouTube channel, she does these songs. She has put out these songs. And I mean, I say this with sincerity. She is the best vegan rapper I've ever listened to. And I've heard them all. I've heard like every single one that's on out there. Maybe not all. I'm exaggerating, but I've heard my fair share of them. And wow, I mean, to listen to her, I tell you, she touches me all the time when I, like, occasionally, like every week or two or something, I'll say, man, I just want to hear that song again, and it's like, wow. I get on there and I listen to it. I'm like, it just does. It gives me like strength almost. It gives me like, it fills me up it gives me that push that I always need. No matter what, when I feel like throwing in a towel or just anything, I need a lift. It's kind of like it kind of gives me that motivation to keep going, to keep pushing, to give me purpose, for being here. Because I mean, if it weren't for the non-human victims, then yeah, I could probably be somewhere else, maybe not at the beach right now because it's cold outside, but I mean, that's the thing that propels me in life, and I just see their suffering, more important than anything else that I could be doing right now,
That means a lot. I really appreciate that. And when I first started doing my music, I never thought of how other activists were going to receive it. Not that, I don't know. I just never had that thought. And I've been getting a lot of people calling me their mentor, people calling me an inspiration, other activists. So that's been a plus doing this music. The first is the animals, but to give strength and encouragement to activists, that's amazing. Brian, did you want to say something about AV up there?
Oh yeah, sure, I can do. I just pulled up Anonymous for the Voiceless website here, just to show people. That's all you need to type in, anonymousforthevoiceless.org, and you can hit the Why Vegan button, and it shows you a list of a whole bunch of educational documentaries, and then also, if I go back, you can hit the Join Us button too. That's how simple it is to join AV. Yeah. And then you can put your email address in there, sign up. And then this map here is actually a map of all, they call them chapters. A chapter is someone who took the responsibility to be an organizer at no cost. This is all voluntary, and they do it because they're ethical vegan. So they set up their own little chapter in the city or wherever that is. Entice is an organizer. How did you go about joining AV, Entice?
What's crazy? I thought AV was I thought it was an international thing only. I don't know why I thought that, but when I would watch their videos, I thought it was just something they did overseas. I didn't think that it's anything that could happen in the States. And then I started looking at the chapters, and then I saw one for my area. And when I was asking about joining that, it was like not active. I don't know if it was due to COVID, but they weren't active. They actually weren't active even before COVID. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take over that. And then long story short, got a hold of AV, got a hold of the previous organizer. They no longer wanted to do, or they were doing other things in their lives. So I took over that and became the organizer this past May. And it has been life-changing. It has been probably the best thing that has happened in my life, joining AV. And AV is really misunderstood. A lot of people judge this group from the outside, and even some people from the inside. Some activists, some vegans, they want things to be, and AV changed like their structure. They were about the animals, environment, health. when that changed, a lot of people, I guess, didn't like that. So, and that's what I keep trying to tell people. This is not about anything else besides the animals. A lot of vegans don't like that. A lot of activists don't like that. It is what it is. So this organization is judged and misunderstood by a lot of people. And a lot of people don't like the truth part of it. They don't like the accountability part of it. They don't like certain words being used. So, but I appreciate this organization. I love the accountability side of it, the truth part of it. And it's something that I'm always going to do, and I'm always going to support them.
Yeah, and I just want a quick shout out to Matt here, because when I joined AV, I was kind of struggling to find my flow of holding people accountable. And Matt took the time out to go each accountability step with me one at a time until I had the whole thing memorized. So I appreciate that, Matt.
Right on. Yeah, you've come a long way, Brian, that's for sure. And you know, the one thing is you have proved yourself. I mean, you have, you know, I don't, you know, doubt anyone, you know, when they first come into this, because at first they might start off slow, but then as they start learning more, they start picking up more, and they start, it gives them a reason, you know, like it almost fuels them to say, you know, wow, yeah, man, you know, I did know this, or I did know that. So, you know, yeah, I need to do something, because just sit here simply, you know, consuming a salad or whatever, you know, not, I mean to use word salad, but, you know, just consuming, you know, food, you know, is not enough. I mean, it's, when you look at the victims, you know, you ask yourself, well, if I were in their position, would, you know, just, you know, eating you know, a plant-based product be enough? You know, if I was going through suffering, would you want somebody speaking up for you while you're sitting here and going through immense suffering? Hell yeah,
Exactly.
you'd be like, hey, I want you to, you know, get out there and say something for me, please. I'm begging you. You know what, my life is all I have left here, you know. And it's like, so you never, I never doubt, you know, the possibilities of what could, you know, prosper from a person, because like yourself, you're living proof that you dug your heels in the ground, and you say, you know what, I'm determined. I'm going to do something about this, because I can't sit here and live with myself knowing that these things go on, and be quiet about it. You know, because the longer you are quiet, that makes you an accomplice. You know what I mean? To it.
It's just the same as people purchasing murder products. Your silence. I mean, if you are vegan and you're silent, obviously you're not on the same level as animal abusers purchasing animal flesh and fluids and contributing to their suffering. However, your silence is not, it's not any better. Like, you have to speak up. And in people, like if you join AV, like, you don't have to always talk or be on outreach right away. And anyone who's like thinking about it, you can start off being in the cube and just listening, you know, until you have the courage to speak up. And it does take, being an activist, it takes a lot of internal strength to do this. You have to have internal strength to do this. This is not, it's not easy. It's not easy.
So I got a question for the both of you. You know, you went from vegan to animal activists, and you know, when we're not outreaching, there's a word that people use, like dystopia. And this is where we kind of suffer from. It's like extra depression, because we know we're not saving. It's like every second in America, there's 300 animals are killed every second. And just even knowing that, you know, it's kind of depressing. And so I suffer from anxiety and depression too. And so when I go out and outreach, for me, it's actually like medicine. You know, I feel good when I plant a few seeds. And so that's what pushes me to keep going out there, because it makes me feel better, feel like I'm making a difference. You know?
Absolutely. Would you like to touch on that, Entice?
Yeah, I mean, but I know a lot of activists who, well, not I know a lot. I've heard of activists getting burned out and being depressed. And honestly, for some, and maybe even for people that I know, Getting out there is not the best medicine for them. Taking a break is, but for some, like you said, Brian, and that's how you get over that. But what's very important is anyone who is doing activism, you have to find something that you can do to stay mentally grounded, because if you are not well mentally, which is going to then turn into physical health deterioration, you are going to be worthless to the animals. So you have to find something to do to keep your mental in balance. What I've been doing, I've been doing activism all day, every day. Some people can't, they take a break. Some people take a month break. I can't see myself taking a break. So what I start doing again is just making sure that I started working out again. I have been slacking with that, and it was starting to affect. I would say I was in a little bit of a state of depression, but nothing too intense. But once I started working out again, and not being on social media all day long, and that's another thing that will bring a little bit. You can't go on there all day. You have to take breaks throughout the day. So I'll just like post something and then take a break and maybe do something right before I go to bed. But you have to find that balance, or else you are going to be worthless to the animals.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on everything you just said, Tice. Yeah, very well said too. Yeah, I know, like, for myself, life is very depressing. It can be depressing. Not to say that life is always depressing. Obviously, when you have your mind on the victims, and you know who you're fighting for, it's not going to be something that just goes away. It's going to be something that lingers in your mind the whole entire time for you, probably for your rest of your existence, maybe.
Exactly.
At least for me. I'll speak for myself, just because I'm kind of really far into knowing what goes on in this world, and the farther as you get, the more you learn, the more you find out you didn't know. So for me, yeah, I felt like I needed a replacer. Let's just put it that way, like a replacer. I need something to fill me up, because when COVID struck, in early 2020, okay, for example, I needed something to do. I couldn't just, stick to this, online activism thing. I felt like I needed to get out there and speak to people one-on-one, because doing this online stuff, people were not going to be taking me serious. And so, because I couldn't find other people in my area, and remote area, people were, they were afraid, or, they didn't want to get out there. And I'm speaking of AV, the chapter that's, sort of close to where I'm at. And many of them wanted to stay home and, protect themselves, from taking any risk and things like that. Myself, I didn't care, because I don't see my life as more valuable or more important than the next individual's. So what I did do was I created my own form of activism. I thought, well, how can I do this to stay safe, but yet still be effective and try to get that message out there? So what I did do was I took my vehicle and I mounted screens onto it, so that I could, hit the public and, be able to speak with the public and not put myself in too much harm's way, but at least I would still be doing something. And I felt like, if I did not get that in, I didn't get that in, I would be like, like, wow, I would just be like, I would die. I would feel like, well, might as well just die. Might as well give me COVID or whatever, because you know what, just sit home and not be able to do something, I feel like I'm useless. And you know what? To me, maybe not to everybody else, to me, it feels like a letdown to the animals. I can't let them down, because you know what? I've been through too much hell in my own life to not to walk away from their pain, their suffering, being agonized and tormented. And that there's no way in hell that I could just lay down and die. It's not going to happen. No, as long as I got fight in me, I'm going to keep on going, and like I said, when I first started ever learning about this stuff, it didn't take me a long time, and that's another thing to touch on. Another point I want to touch on with vegetarians. Vegetarians, many of them, because of the use of not having internet back in the 80s or early 80s, well, this is kind of like an excuse for them to say, well, I'm already vegetarian. Well, okay, you're already vegetarian, so I don't know what relevance that has to do with me, trying to get you to live sanely and go vegan. But the thing is here is that because you became a vegetarian doesn't mean you were like grandfathered into this somehow, to where now you've made that one decision back then in the 80s, and that's the thing that's going to stay with you for life. You are still responsible for the abuse and enslavement of non-human animals. So regardless of whatever stance you might have taken for whatever reason, whether that may have been for what you thought of it as ethical reasons or for your health reasons or whatever reasons, that has nothing to do with what you are doing right now, this very moment. You are paying to have these cows abused. You are paying to have their babies taken away from them. You are paying to have these babies and their moms, separated while they mourn and they cry and they bellow, for weeks at a time, you know what I mean? While, these people are just taken from them. They put them on like some artificial, feed or whatever, and I mean, just repeats the whole process of what that mom went through. I just can't be quiet about something like that, and I wouldn't if it were someone else. If it was a human that was going through those type of measures, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And those comments you put up, Brian, were pretty nice too. What people were saying.
All right, so I just want to share this screen real quick here. This is it's called Challenge 22. I don't really like the wording here, how it says let's try go vegan, because after what you've just watched there, I mean, you should be automatically vegan now anyway. But the Challenge 22 here is an awesome site because you just sign up, it's free. And they actually pair you up with someone who's going to help you making your purchasing options. They're going to help you with any questions you have while you do this 20-day challenge as a vegan. So this is one thing I would definitely recommend for any vegetarians that are maybe struggling right now with the choices or the thought process here. Any meat eaters watching, I would still recommend this. What do you got to lose? I mean, by choosing to eat plant-based products, you're causing no suffering to life. It's a no other thinker. I don't know what's going on there. And then if there's any dairy farmers watching, I definitely ask that you send me a message. If you want to go live on here and debate, if you think we're wrong, that you take baby calves away from the mother, and have them killed. If you think that's the right thing to do, I challenge you to hit me up. We'll go live and we can discuss it on here.
I have been waiting for the last when did I ask? I guess 3-4 days now of people to tell me, like I said earlier, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. And people are just posting on the photo of 2 cows in the slaughter truck. They clearly said, this is not how it goes. I said, well, tell me then, how does it go? I'm not getting any reply. No replies. Just people telling me that I'm wrong. I'm just saying all these wrong things.
I've got a question for Brian. I didn't cut you off, did I, Tice?
No, you're good. Nope.
Oh, so you said something about you didn't like what was said on there about let's try to go vegan. You want to elaborate a little bit more on that, Brian? Why you shouldn't try to become vegan?
Yeah, sure. I mean, because it's just really a play of words. I mean, but if you've just watched these baby cows, what they go through, and the separation process, and how Katie, the cow, was in that mental state there, just mourning, and she probably just wants to die. She wants this to be over. For example, in the egg industry, I don't know who's the luckiest, the male chick that gets killed immediately, or the female chick that goes into a shed for 6 weeks and then is slaughtered. I mean, what kind of life is it to completely suffer all the way through there? So when a person thinks about going vegan, why would you try? I mean, what's holding you back? Do you want to continue paying for this to happen or not? It's really about aligning your morals, which you say you have, with your actions. So when you go in the store and you pay for suffering, you're an animal abuser, and it's as simple as that. So if you no longer want to be a hypocrite, align your morals with your actions, stop paying for animal abuse. These are nowhere promoting this, by the way. This is a plant-based milk. It causes no suffering whatsoever. 25 calories, cholesterol-free. It's actually healthy for you. And
say that, like, I'm sorry, I didn't show up, Brian. I just started talking. Did you have something else?
No, I was there. So I challenge people. When if you're thinking about going vegan, do it.
Yeah,
That's it. All you got to do is say it, and then don't think about, I'm going to have to change my whole fridge, my whole everything. Just think about the next meal. Just make that next meal vegan. Go to the store, buy something vegan, come home, eat it, and then after you've eaten it, think about what you just did. No one suffered because of you. No blood on your hands. You're not a part of that anymore. And now you've just eaten a healthy meal. No one suffered. And just sit there and take that in. See how it feels. Because when I first went vegan, it was the best thing I ever did in my life. I finally realized why I'm here, really, to wake up. So
yeah, no, people will. A lot of vegans don't understand that they have. They say don't. I hate the saying "stop forcing your views upon me." I hate when people say that, because vegans and non-vegans, and I've said a reel about this, and this is not for the people who are psychos, who are like just murderous, raging crazies. I'm not talking about crazies. I'm talking about sane people. Vegan and non-vegan, we all have the same beliefs and the same values. We are against violence. We are against cruelty. We are against abuse, exploitation. We're against animal cruelty, all those things. The small but very large difference is vegans manifest those views in their everyday choices. So it's just like you said, Brian, aligning your actions. You guys, all you vegans, non-vegans, you already believe the same things that we believe in. But you're being a hypocrite because you're not manifesting that in your day-to-day. Your day-to-day choices does not align with the beliefs that you say you have. So
I just make myself big on the screen here for no reason. Sorry. No, I just want to say to you though. So if a person feels like a hypocrite, what do you think the number one benefit for them is by going vegan? Can you both think of the number one benefit?
Are you asking like the AV question? Or
yes. Well, obviously you're both going to say health, but get it wrong, so I can get used.
You're no longer a hypocrite. You no longer have to be that hypocrisy.
So by going vegan, the animals no longer suffer in your name, and you're no longer to be the hypocrite. Yes. It feels good not to be a hypocrite.
Yes, I don't. I'm against animal cruelty. So if I'm against animal cruelty, what the hell does that look like me going out and paying for it?
I want to talk about something. There's a lot of things that we're not going to be able to fit in, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, sorry guys, you've got like 10 minutes, and I'm gonna have to. Sorry.
But the thing is funny when we watch the news and we hear about a dairy farmer that's sitting here crying, even sometimes in literal tears, talking about when things go bad and they have no way to, get take care of these cows, for whatever reason, and they're not going to get this, grant or whatever, this free money from the government to take care of. They're sitting here crying, these cows are going to get killed for no reason, like they really give a shit about the cows. These cows were destined. That was going to be their fate, was to get basically bolted in the head, either sledgehammered in the head, hung upside down, basically cut down the middle, however, after they have already sawed off their arms and legs and whatnot, and it's like, no, you know what? No. Why should you feel sad when you raised them, you bred them to be murdered in the first place? We don't want to hear your sorry ass shit because, you're looking for a free handout from the government. That's all it is, and it's like, no, we don't want to hear that because, you know what? These cows, if you ask them if they want to live, they would want to live. And they let us know in every single way that they want to live. And that's why a lot of times, even with other farmed animals, why they had the Judas goat, why they used another animal to portray as like, this is going to be a friendly place, like as they're coming off of those, transporter trucks and stuff, they see an animal like a goat or anything. They're like, oh yeah, this is a good place. It looks like it's pretty safe, Well, it's the kind of the same thing. When you look inside these trucks, these slaughterhouse trucks, and they got farmers going in there prodding them, with electric volts and all of this stuff. I've actually taken footage of those myself with the camera inside of, in the grates and stuff, and have seen them walking around on like a half a foot of their own excrement, basically shit, and it's like, yeah, it stinks, and you could just see they have sores on them and everything. It's like, why do farmers cry, on the news just because, they're going to have to close their doors, if they don't get some sort of, assistance or, free money from the government?
Yeah, I think I've seen that. There was like some floods and like their died and everyone was dead. Just like, come on, you were gonna send them to be murdered anyway. Why? What's with the tears?
Yeah, so I gotta say, if there's any dairy farmers that actually sat through this and are still here, I appreciate you watching and being open-minded, because any other person would have gone already. So I appreciate you watching and looking through the information with Sean, and I hope you can try and maybe put yourself in our shoes and how we see things, because we put ourselves in your shoes and we can see how you look at things too. And I think that's another skill of a vegan. Once you go vegan, you can actually put yourself in the animal's position and think, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want that done to me. So that's something there for an activist. So we're gonna have to just wrap up now. If I ask you both to just give one last question, maybe one last statement, to encourage people to go vegan today, what would that be?
I just want people to, like we have been saying this whole time, put yourself in the victim's position. Would you want to have someone's fist inside of you? Would you want to have your baby taken? And would you want to have your neck slashed open? Or for their skins, would you want to have your skin ripped off of you to make into a coat? Would you want to be taken from your home and put inside a cage to be a source of entertainment? Okay, if you don't want any of those things, why are you paying for that? Why are you paying for that abuse? If you are not vegan, you are an animal abuser. And it's time to get the blood off of your hands. And it's time to go vegan, everybody.
Awesome. And then Matt, if you have
I would say, if people are going to sit here and procrastinate like a vegetarian and take, weeks, months, years before they think, well, maybe I'll try it, they need to just do it now, because I mean, it's not about them. It's about the victims. It's about what they are personally responsible for committing against these innocent individuals that have done not one single thing to anybody. They have not committed any crime. They have done nothing. And, it's like, why would you harm an innocent, just because they're different from you, or because, you were brought up, a certain way, because, this is something that your family's been doing forever? Well, you know what? People have been, abusing other humans for centuries and millenniums. It's like, you know what? Just because those things happen don't mean they're right. Think if you really want to know the answer, go to Entice's song called "A Mother's Love." Now, if that don't touch you, nothing will. Because you know what? Yeah, a mother's love. If you're a female, you should definitely be able to identify with that song. Because as a mother to a mother of another mother, or however you want to say it, she's better at saying it than I am. But yeah. The thing is that that's a mother, and you should respect. You should respect her, not only just because she's a female, but because she has the desire, and will to live, and wants, bodily integrity, and the basic right to live just the same as anybody else, and if you're a male, you should also just be a decent, respectable person by not paying, for someone else's suffering, because you know what? It don't make you more of a man because you bullied somebody that you didn't size up with somebody that would actually fight back with you. No, that's called being a bully. It makes you more of a man by stepping back and not harming a defenseless, innocent being. Just because you have the power to do it doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean it's right.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll just finish here real quick. There's two little things I want to say. So if you're thinking about trying vegan, I want to leave this with you to think about while you go away. I want you to think about, for every day you're thinking about going vegan, these animals will still be suffering every day in your name. So the longer you think about this, the more they suffer.
That's right.
So you've got an opportunity today, right now, to go vegan. And no longer be an animal abuser, and then what's the golden rule? Does everyone know what the golden rule is? Do unto others what you would want done to you. So if you put yourself in the animal's position and you think, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want that done to me, stop doing it to them. So
veganism is the golden rule in action.
Right. So thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, you can check this out on the YouTube Midwest Animal Rights, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there somewhere. And thank you, Entice and Matt, for coming on.
Thank you, Brian.
Contributed towards this video. Hopefully we can make something else soon.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everyone. Hey, I'm going to leave this running. I really do want to play the. I'm going to go, but I'm going to leave it running. I want to play the Draw My Life, Olivia, again, just in case anyone missed it. Okay.
Okay.
My name is Olivia, and this is my story. I was born 2 years ago in a dark pen. I remember a couple of men watching me as I was taking my first breaths. I don't really know my mother. All I remember of her were her beautiful eyes and the way they looked at me. She seemed sad. The men took me away from her after a couple of hours. I remember her crying out. I heard her cries as they were taking me away. The next thing I knew, they were cutting into my ear and attaching an annoying tag to it with a number on it. It hurt so bad. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't move. I live here now, in this stall. My hooves are constantly aching. They gave me a lot of hormone and vaccine injections. I guess cows get sick here a lot. Then one day, a man shoved his arm inside me. I didn't know what was happening or why. 9 months later, I had a baby boy. I named him Michael. He was so darling. He had beautiful almond eyes, and I don't know how to explain it, but I loved him so deeply. But after a couple of hours, they took him away. I screamed, I called out to him in desperation. I wanted him back so bad. He was my baby, but they took him. I heard that he was put in a small crate and was going to be slaughtered for veal. The next thing I knew, they attached an awful machine to my udder. It hurt. They pumped and pumped my milk out so quickly that it felt like I was losing over 30 gallons at once. My udder felt so tender. This went on repeatedly for months, every day. The men take the milk, and I guess humans drink it. This milk was supposed to be for my baby. I didn't think my life could get any more miserable until it happened again. Another man shoved his arm inside me. I gave birth to another beautiful baby, and she was stolen from me too. I don't understand why these humans keep taking my milk. My milk is for my calves. I'm so tired. I can't. I just can't go on. There's a truck pulling up. It's so loud. It's getting really close to me. Ow! Oh no! What's happening? Maybe they're taking me to a place where I can get better.